The Scottish League Cup.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Where Scottish football lives.
Welcome to Sports Sound. We're live at Tannadice this evening with the Viaplay Cup taking centre stage around the country. We'll bring you commentary from here as Dundee United face Partick Thistle. Can the home side bounce back after their shock defeat in that opening group match? 13 other ties taking place this evening. We'll keep you updated on all of them. It's also Alan McGregor's testimonial at Ibrox. Rangers taking on English Premier League side Newcastle United with a reporter at that one. And we'll also hear from the Scotland camp after their latest friendly against Finland. That's all to come between now and 10:30. Good evening from me, Jane Lewis. Joining me at Tannadice is Willie Miller and Craig Levine. Evening, chaps. Both well, both wrapped up, even though it's July. In fact, you've not got a jacket on, have you? Oh, you have. A wee thin one. Willie's got about 5 on.
It's one of those trendy jacket things.
Oh, okay. But Jane, you're both well anyway.
Thankfully, he's not got his shorts on, though. That's all I can say.
It was always a danger. It was always a danger. Full commentary to come here between Dundee United and Partick Thistle. And Craig Levine, these are two sides, of course, that'll be hoping to be very much in the mix when it comes to the championship. This, of course, is a cup tie, but it could still be an intriguing one this evening.
Yeah, there's a lot riding on this. You know, you want to off to a flyer at the start of every season, and this is quite early. I mean, being involved in this competition is a little bit awkward for what I would consider to be the favourites in these matches. There's a potential banana skin, and of course, after United's poor result down at Spartans, then this cranks up the pressure a little bit more in this match, particularly, as I say, when it's so early in the season.
Yeah, absolutely, Willie. In terms of progressing from the group, Dundee United, well, they need to get back on track, but in terms of getting the fans back on side, because you were at that match, they were none too happy.
No, it wasn't a good performance. I think Jim Goodwin will be very disappointed, particularly the start of the game. You know, not really starting a game like that. You know, you can't really put an excuse down for that. First game of the season against lower opposition, then you've got to get them tested early, and United just didn't do that. In fact, throughout the game they barely tested. A little bit better in the second half, but it was a poor performance. Jim Goodwin will know that. He'll know that it's unacceptable. The reaction from the fans after that game will tell him so, and if he doesn't turn it round tonight, then you can be sure that the home fans are going to give him a very hard time. But that's football, and I don't care how early it is in the season, or if you want to bracket it early in the season. The season has started. It started on Saturday. That's how you prepare your team for a season, and you've got to take this competition seriously as well. You know, it's a really important competition for clubs like Partick and Dundee United, and not to do that and not to be prepared is just the wrong way to go about it. So it's a huge game for Dundee United. Jim Goodwin in particular, new manager, trying to, you know, just set his stall out, get the fans behind them. I think season ticket wise, is it 5,000 season tickets have sold?
I think that's right. I heard that number. Yeah,
they've sold a lot of season tickets.
Yeah,
and the last thing you need is to have, you know, your first two games in this cup competition, poor results, poor performances, and it was a poor performance on Saturday.
Yeah, well, of course they will be hoping that it's not poor performances. They'll be hoping to get back on track this evening. We will hear from Jim Goodwin and from the Partick Thistle manager Chris Doolan as well shortly. But first of all, let's get the team news, shall we? Thomas Duncan has that for us.
Yeah, good evening, Jane. Down here at a rainy pitch side, although the sun is just peeking out over the shed at the west end of Tannadice, so we might get some good conditions, and the pitch is in immaculate condition. But Dundee United have made 3 changes from that defeat by Spartans, where they were really below par, and Jim Goodwin's kind of freshened it up a bit. So out go Grimshaw, Meekson and Middleton. They're on the bench. In come Sibbald, Fotheringham and Glass. It's the same back 5, including the goalkeeper Walton that started in Edinburgh on Saturday. McMahon, Denham and Holt and Freeman. Docherty, Sibbald and Glass in midfield, with Fotheringham and Cujo either side of Tony Watt up front, who it's fair to say was maybe lacking a bit of match sharpness at the weekend, having obviously missed the end of the season when he was on loan at St Mirren with injury. Obviously missed that penalty, but he's leading the line, and obviously the United vice captain for the season as well. As for here's the bench as well. Louis Moult, new signing for Dundee United, just announced a matter of hours ago. The striker that Jim Goodwin talked about, he's among the substitutes this evening alongside Newman, Graham, Grimshaw, Chalmers, Middleton, Meekison, Mockery and Rory McLeod. As for Thistle, they make a couple of changes from the draw up in Peterhead, from which they got obviously a bonus point for winning the penalty shootout. It was an epic 10-9. And one of the changes is in goal, in fact. Jamie Snedden's dropped to the bench and David Mitchell comes in. The other one is Anton Dowds up front, makes way for Ben Williamson, a signing who was also announced just a matter of hours ago on loan from Rangers. A midfielder who's had loan spells last season at Dundee, helped them up to promotion to the Premiership, and Livingston previously as well. So Thistle with Mitchell, Milne, Williams, Muirhead, Bannigan, Graham, Lawless, Fitzpatrick, Williamson, as I mentioned, and the two youngsters Stanway and Xander McKenzie both in the lineup as well. Snedden, Dowds, McCready, Lyon, Stevenson and Taggart on the bench. Just the 5 substitutes for Partick Thistle. So it shows you that at this stage of the season the managers definitely don't have their squads maybe as they would like, even though the competitive action has started. And Jane, the match official for this evening is Matthew McDermott.
Thomas, thank you very much indeed. We'll hear more from Thomas because he's been talking to both managers ahead of this, and we'll get their reaction ahead of this game very shortly. Let's just talk about that team news. Craig, the signing of Louis Moult. Obviously they need a kind of target man, don't they? A man up top after losing Stephen Fletcher. What's your take on that one? Is that a bit of a gamble, do you think?
A fit Louis Moult I don't think's a gamble. A fit and playing regularly is not a gamble. But I think he's had injury issues. I don't know exactly where he is.
Well, he was training at Crewe. He was released by Burton in the summer, went to Crewe to do some training, played with them I think in a pre-season friendly, I guess probably as a trialist, but has joined here at Dundee United, signing just a matter of a couple of hours ago. He was on loan at Motherwell of course last season, his second spell there. He had to leave there because he had I think it was a knee injury. So and if you look at his stats in the last couple of last few years, actually, Burton, Preston, hasn't played an awful lot of football, hasn't scored certainly as many goals as he did when he played for Motherwell in his first stint, 2015 to 2018, where he scored 38 goals in the league in 77 appearances in those 2.5 years. That's decent stats, but following on from that, it's quite a poor record. Injury maybe prone, as you say. Yeah,
and also you have to take into account, of course, that he's stepping down a level. So that should help him to get back to full speed as quickly as possible. That'll certainly help with his confidence. He should be able to perform better against the team from the leagues below. And we'll get a wee idea tonight. So I'm sure we'll see him on the field at some point. We'll get an idea tonight roughly where he is with regard to fitness and match sharpness. Yeah,
he is on the bench, and I'm told that he should make an appearance at some stage this evening. In terms of Dundee United, another team news, Willie Miller, they have lost a lot of players. They brought a few in, a couple of course former Partick Thistle players, so they'll be up against their former teammates this evening. I guess the positive thing about playing competitively so early in the season is that you quickly get to learn what your squad is all about and if you do need to strengthen.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have to make changes, during the transfer window, and I know there's plenty of time left in the transfer window to make these changes and bring new players in, but at the same time, you want to get that done as early as you possibly can. I think both managers would have preferred that. It doesn't always go that way, particularly I think at the the lower leagues and the Championship. And even if you get lower than that, then some teams struggle really badly to put a side together, in July. But at the same time, when the season's going to start, so you'll have your backroom staff, you'll have your scouts out there, you'll have your own knowledge of the game in Scotland as well to go and pick players that you think is going to get you through this league. To go for players that are used to the league, I don't know, is that a good idea, or should you be pitching it a little bit higher? I think you need knowledge of the league, but at the same time you need quality as well. And
especially if you're Dundee United, because the fans will expect for Dundee. Last time they were down at this level, they went back up, and they'll be expecting a similar scenario. So I think there'll be a fair amount of pressure on Dundee this season to get instantly back into the Premier League.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you talk about players at a similar level. Obviously Dundee United have signed Ross Docherty and Kevin Holt, both Championship players. Liam Grimshaw was at Morton last season as well. They've got a couple of players in on loan from Luton and Cardiff respectively. Should they be aiming higher than that, do you think, Willie, in terms of a better, maybe a couple of better quality players? No disrespect to those players, they know the league very well, and Ross Docherty can get in about it in the midfield, can't he?
I think you probably need that balance, don't you? You do need players that understand the league, but at the same time, you need quality. I think there is a balance to be had there. And I think as far as Dundee United's concerned, a club like United that have got huge ambitions to get themselves, back in the top tier, should be looking to raise the standard. I think when you're bringing in someone like Louis Moult, you hope that he certainly has proved it at a higher level, so you're hoping that he's going to bring that. And as Craig says, you've got to be pretty sure on his fitness though, because they've only got Tony Watt there. They've now added Louis Moult, so you've got plenty of experience. Don't know if you've got too much running ability there, I would suggest.
And Tony Watt is just coming back as well from an operation too, isn't he?
Yeah. So I think it's getting the balance, Jane. I think that's where Jim Goodwin should be. But these United fans will, be looking at that support that they've given them in terms of the season ticket sales that they've put into the club. They'll be looking for that to be spent. They'll be looking for a high level of recruitment.
Jim does have a problem that any manager who goes in and takes over a club, particularly if they haven't been doing so well before that, I mean, you've got a lot of thinking to do, haven't you? Players leave because they get relegated, and players that you probably want to keep, they leave. So then you've got to start again. And sometimes you don't even know the players that you're working with who are in your building. And then you have to try and go out and bring players in who will fit in with those guys. And you're not 100% sure, and particularly when I look tonight at the Dundee United team sheet, there's quite a lot of young lads on there that haven't made an awful lot of appearances either on the bench or on the field. So, I mean, that is another factor that Jim's got to take into account. Who is it amongst those young players can add a little bit of quality to the group? He has to find that out, and then he's got to try and bring players in who can help do the other things that they can't do.
Yeah.
That's what the team's all about. So it's really tricky. It is really tricky. The problem with this competition is that it brings pressure a lot earlier than a normal pre-season would do. Now, it is what it is, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I like the competition. But if you've lost 1-0 to Spartans on Saturday and in this game tonight it doesn't go well, then I bet you Jim wished you had 2 pre-season friendlies instead of those 2 competitive matches.
Yeah, listen, we'll have plenty more on the build-up to this one. It is a massive match for Dundee United and an important one for Partick Thistle as well. Both teams will want to try and get through this group, but also wanting to try and get through the group will be Queen of the South and Motherwell as well. Queen of the South are in action against Motherwell this evening, and I'm delighted to say we can talk to their manager, Marvin Bartley. Marvin, good evening, how are you?
Evening, Jane. I'm very well, thanks. Yourself?
Good. I'm very well, thank you. How much are you looking forward to this one, testing and pitting your wits against Motherwell?
Yeah, we're massively looking forward to the game. I heard Craig speaking there about how early it does come into kind of pre-season, and that's the difficulty I imagine obviously for all clubs. But in terms of having a competitive game, we're looking forward to it. The players are up for it most definitely, but we have to be mindful of how much they can actually do. And that's just the worry for us, especially being a smaller club, but it does give us a chance. We've got 6 or 7 academy boys involved in the squad today, and it gives them an opportunity they might not have got if this competition was in 3 or 4 weeks' time.
Yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? How have you found pre-season and kind of building up a squad? Because you've lost a lot of players, haven't you?
Yeah, listen, we decided to move some of those players on. I think maybe only 1 player's left the football club that we tried to keep. But in terms of pre-season, it's been fine. I've been the one holding the stopwatch, Jane, so it's been the easiest pre-season I've ever had. But no, listen, we are trying to recruit still. We've got 5 boys missing today who are first team squad regulars and will be going forward, but we are still on the lookout for players, and we'll probably add another 3 or 4 to the squad going forward. So yeah, listen, we're being patient with it, but I'm happy with where the squad are at. I'm happy with the boys that we've got in the squad today, and also the boys that are very close to returning from injury.
And for a team like Queen of the South, what are your ambitions when it comes to the League Cup?
To win this game today, Jane.
I thought you were going to say to win the cup there for a minute.
No, to get a positive result in today's game. We can't look any further forward than that. Listen, we understand the task at hand with, Motherwell being the best of the rest. Obviously, finished top of the bottom 6. A very, very good team with a very good manager. So, but these are the games we want to test ourselves against. My staff and myself, and also my players. So yeah, we're going to deal with today's game. get that out of the way, and then we'll move forward from there. But the biggest thing for us today is to get a really good performance, and I'm sure the players can do that.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that you want to test yourself as well, because of course you're still a rookie manager, but you want to see how you can go up against the managers who've been there and done it as well a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's a test for me, and I'm constantly judging myself, and I'm constantly being judged, because that's the nature of football management. Stewart's came into Motherwell and been absolutely fantastic with the run they went on last season, and he'll be looking to build on that. So, looking at other young managers, he's probably the brightest one, or one of the brightest ones in the country at this moment in time. So for me, it's a privilege to test myself up against him. Something I'm looking forward to. I've never hid that I do believe in myself, but the proof's in the pudding. So hopefully today we can go out there and give a good account of ourselves.
Marvin, thank you very much for your time this evening. We appreciate you talking to us. It's so close to kick-off. I think we've got Cammy Bell as a reporter down there. You got your ear plugs in there, Cammy? Can you hear us? Oh, they're doing a quick switch over. Oh, just as well it's not COVID times, otherwise we wouldn't be allowed to do that. But Cammy, you there yet?
Hi Jane, I'm here.
Hello, how are you doing? Are you all right?
I'm very good, yes.
Well
very
done.
Good.
Was that a record switching over of headphones? Well done to you.
Switch over, and I've got Stuart Kettlewell waiting in the wings as well.
Oh, you've still got that pace, you really have. Have you got team news for us at all?
I can give you that after you speak to Stuart, if that's okay,
right,
Jane.
Okay, right,
I'll pass you on to Stuart.
Let's quickly switch on to Stuart then. It's like a game of parcel, this, isn't it? Or words to that effect. Stuart, are you there? Good evening to you.
Evening, Jane. How are you doing? You okay?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thanks, Cammy Bell, doing a wonderful job of hosting
We really should
here,
invest in more sets of headphones at the BBC, shouldn't we? But we're obviously too busy spending money elsewhere. What are your thoughts ahead of this one? Obviously, it was a decent run out for you on Saturday. You'll be looking to make it 2 out of 2.
Yeah, of course. I think I've been pretty public in saying that we're obviously the favourites in this group, and quite happy to handle that tag and make sure we try and live up to it. But I think the one thing we know is it's going to be a really difficult fixture here. Marvin's had a real good impact since he came in at Queen of the South, probably altered their kind of style of play and how they want to go about their business. So we know we're in for a difficult night. I've made a couple of changes, but in doing so I don't think I've weakened the team in any way. It really is about getting that balance of trying to win the group, but also to make sure that we're getting the correct minutes into players without risking injury, but also making sure that we get 1 or 2 up to speed.
Is that quite a hard balance to find? We were talking to Willie and Craig earlier, who were saying, that this is a season started. This is an important tournament for a lot of clubs. Motherwell, of course, will want to be very much in the mix when we get to the semi-finals and final stage. But is it a fine balance between it almost being pre-season but being a competitive game too? And it is important.
Yeah, as I say, Jane, I've been really vocal on this and probably a bit bullish in many respects, that I don't see it as pre-season. I very much see it being competitive. As much as I have chopped and changed 1 or 2 in my side, in my starting 11 tonight, I've done it with a view of that I've not weakened the team in any way, shape or form. So if we don't perform well tonight, if we, hopefully this isn't the case, but if we didn't get a result, it's simply because we've not performed. It's nothing to do with the changes. As I say, we are relatively short in numbers just now. We feel that we would like to add a few players to what we've got, so probably putting 1 or 2 out that I would ideally like to maybe mix it up and seeing 1 or 2 other things, but that's the situation that we sit in. But you reference a really important point in that the cup run's massive to a club like Motherwell. Just giving you a wee bit of detail on it, we don't budget for a cup run, Scottish Cup, League Cup. It's not as part of my budget, so you can imagine that I'm hell bent on making sure that we try and get one, and to do that you have to get yourself through this group and face 4 tricky games, and then you take the luck of the draw thereafter. But we don't want to get carried away. First and foremost, we have a chance to go and get another 3 points on the board, and we're going to have to be our best to try and get that tonight.
Finally, Stuart, before we let you go, because I appreciate you've probably got some final preparations to make before kick-off, but how happy are you with your squad? Do you see many more comings or goings?
Yeah, again, very much dependent on 1 or 2 players going out and freeing up a little bit of money for us to maybe go and work away with. I'm happy with what I've got. Some guys coming into the fray, coming back from fitness. I've promoted a couple of the young players, which we spoke long and hard about at the weekend, because they performed well and they really added to to our group, but undoubtedly we're still a few short. I'm still thinking that we would love to go and try and maybe get 3 in the building, which would help us, because we all know what the Premiership's like in Scotland. It's exceptionally difficult, and to get through that full campaign, you have to make sure that you've got options and the ability to freshen up your team where necessary. So yeah, we're working hard. We realise the areas of the pitch that we're short and we need more options, and as I say, I've heard a number of managers talking about it. It's important that we really work hard towards bringing in the correct players. I'm not going to just bring in a player just for the sake of bringing in a number. He has to add to what we've already got, and I think I've done that already, bringing in the likes of Connor Wilkinson, Pap Swary, and the fact that we get to re-sign guys like John Obika, Harry Payton, and Dan Casey's been the big one for us last week as well. So yeah, we're in a reasonable spot, but I would like to be sitting here in a week or two's time with another maybe 3 fresh faces to add to what we've got.
Stuart, thank you very much indeed for talking to us, and Marvin Bartley before that as well. We'll let Stuart hand the headset back to Cammy. We'll talk to Cammy in just a minute. We'll get some team news from him. Craig, really interesting there hearing from both managers talking about their squad and strengthening at this time of year. When you were in the managerial game, was that something you quite enjoyed, bringing in new players and trying to kind of strengthen and get the best out of them?
Yeah, that's the job. Basically, that's exactly what it is. And I mean, you've got to identify the talent. You have to bring the talent in. Then you have to make it better. And that's what all managers are trying to do.
Not always easy, though, is it?
That's not always easy. If you get the first bit wrong, none of it's going to work. They've done that on 1 or 2 occasions. Yeah, so it's really important that you get the right people first and foremost, and you have to have a clear idea what it is that you're looking for first and foremost. So, and I think Stuart will be quite particular, and I think that going and getting people in for the sake of it is never a good idea. Sometimes you're better waiting till later in the window. So maybe there are some players who were looking for things or more money. Basically, we're looking for much more money, and they found that they can't get it, and they come back down the way. And occasionally you can catch 1 or 2 of those. And and I've always liked to leave 1 or 2 spaces till late in the window, just in case something appeared that was desirable.
All the tactics, I like it. Things you love to hear. Let's cross back live to Cammy Bell, shall we? He's got his headphones back on after very kindly sharing them around. Cammy, what's the team news from Queen of the South against Motherwell?
Hi Jane, evening from Palmerston here. We've got the Queen of the South team first and foremost. It looks like they're going to be a 4-4-1-1. They're starting off with Bofferall in goals. They've got a back 4 of Houston, Mackay, McClelland and Logan. A midfield 4 of McKechnie, Mimnaugh, Cochrane and McGuffey, and it looks like Connolly will be playing the 10 behind Gavin Riley up front. And for Motherwell, they start with Oxborough in goals. They're going to be a 5-3-2, and they start with Oxborough in goals, a back 5 of O'Donnell, McGinn, Mugabe, Lamy and Sore, and a midfield 3 of Miller, Slattery and Spittle, and the top 2 is Ferry and Obika up front, Jane.
Thank you very much, Cammy. Will keep us fully updated on Queen of the South against Motherwell. Plenty more cup ties, of course, taking place this evening. We'll keep you updated with those results as we are getting them. We'll also keep you across events at Ibrox. It's Alan McGregor's testimonial with Newcastle United, the visitors at Ibrox this evening. Our reporter Keridine Itzan is there for us. And Keridine, a really special night for Alan McGregor.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what, Jane, I'm glad I got here early, because 2 hours ago the streets outside Ibrox were absolutely mobbed. It's a sellout tonight. Alan McGregor got a huge round of applause when he came out for his warm-up. He's just come out again. He's having a wee chat with Alex McLeish down pitch side. 8,000 Newcastle fans away to my left. The rest of Ibrox absolutely full with Rangers fans. A complete sellout. Feels like a European night tonight, and it's just a testimonial, a friendly match, if you will. There are some new boys in the Rangers lineup, as you would expect, especially up front. Lammers and Sima, 2 new strikers starting up front for Rangers, who unsurprisingly have a certain Alan McGregor in goals. You'll not be surprised to hear. New number 1 Butland has to do with a place on the bench. So McGregor in goals, Tavernier, Suter, Davis and Barisic at the back for Rangers. That's pretty familiar. Lundstrom, Jack, Kieran Dowell comes into midfield alongside Todd Cantwell, and Lammers and Sima up front. Some of the Rangers new boys like Balogun are on the bench. Butland, McCrory, Ridvan Haji, Matondo, Wright, Balogun, Sakala, Raskin, Lowry, Rice, McKinnon on the bench for Rangers. Newcastle have their £52 million new boy in midfield, Sandro Tonali, in the starting lineup. But Eddie Howe has spent somewhere in the region of £300 million, just to give an idea of the difference in budgets between the two sides. That's since he came in what was that, November of 2021. He's been bemoaning the fact he's only been able to spend 52 odd million on Tonali, but we'll get a look at him tonight. Good looking Newcastle team, as you'd imagine. I think they're flying for their pre-season trip to the States tomorrow, so they've got a big squad with them on the pitch tonight. They'll carry us in goal. Trippier, Schär, Botman and Target, Longstaff, Anderson, Tonali, Almiron, Lewis and Wilson. So pretty strong looking Newcastle team. Gumarães on the bench for them. Isak as well, amongst others. Should be an absolute cracker here at Ibrox. And the main man, of course, Alan McGregor's getting a wee lap of honour afterwards. I'm on a promise from him for a wee interview afterwards. Same with both managers, who had a few glad handing and commercial stuff to do pre-match. So nothing from the managers beforehand, but fingers crossed we'll be hearing from all the main players after the match.
Fingers crossed indeed. Thanks very much, Sue Carradine. Yeah, and of course we will keep you across events there at Ibrox as well, and Newcastle United, the visitors, for that Alan McGregor testimonial this evening. Let's get back to this match here at Tannadice, where I'm glad to say the sun is now shining, because about an hour ago or so the rain was absolutely teeming down here, but yeah, the sun is shining. Both sets of players are now out on the pitch warming up ahead of us. So let's hear from both managers, shall we? First of all, let's hear from the Dundee United boss, Jim Goodwin. He's been talking to Thomas.
Jim, what have the messages been in terms of what needs to improve from Saturday to tonight?
Well, we need to start the game better tonight, there's no doubt about that. We were a little bit slow out of the traps on Saturday against Spartans, and that's why we found ourselves going the goal behind. I thought the reaction thereafter was very good. I thought the second half was excellent in spells, to be perfectly honest. We had we hit the crossbar, we missed the penalty, missed 3 one-on-ones where you could say the goalkeeper for Spartans made a couple of good saves, but we certainly created enough opportunities to win the game on Saturday, but unfortunately we weren't able to capitalise on the chances that we made. But look, we've got an opportunity very early after that one now to put things right tonight here. First competitive game of the season in front of our own fans, and we want to go and put on a good show.
Yeah, how important is that, given how last season ended, then the result of the weekend, you're back here at home, and you can inject some positivity, I suppose, into the start of the new campaign?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, obviously it's very early days for this group of players. There's a lot of new faces in the group. We've got 6 new signings in. We've promoted a lot of the younger ones as well from the academy. A few of them had really successful loans last season. So we feel that those boys are ready to make the step up, and we've tried to balance it out properly, where we've got good experience and some good youth at the other end as well. So, I'm very positive about the season to come. Of course, Saturday was an extremely disappointing start to the campaign, but we'll see what the kind of reaction we get here tonight.
And you've signed Louis Moult. How big a contribution, or what are his strengths that he can bring, maybe tonight off the bench obviously, but with the season to come out as well?
Well, look, I think we're very fortunate to get a striker in of Louis Moult's calibre. There's been Louis has had a disappointing last 18 months, if you like. He's had 1 or 2 injury issues, but we've done a very thorough medical. We've had good conversation with Louis, and he's been very open and honest about what went on over the last 12 to 18 months. But from our point of view, a fit Louis Moult in the Scottish Championship is one hell of a player, and I believe in the medical team that we've got here, and I've got full faith in Louis as well that we'll be able to get him back to his best, I hope.
Thanks, Jim. Good luck.
Okay, thanks very much.
Jim Goodwin there. Yeah, Louis Moult, just to confirm if you're just joining us, at signing for Dundee United this evening, and he is on the bench for this cup tie tonight. Now, Jim Goodwin saying there that they need to start the game better. He thought the second half they were good. I think he used the word excellent, actually. Willie Miller, I think I maybe saw you shaking your head in that one. He was referring to, of course, to the game against the Spartans. You disagree, I take it?
Listen, he's a manager. He's at home. He's had a dreadful defeat. He's got to talk it up, isn't he? He's got to be positive about it. Listen, they did have chances in the second half, but like all managers, they forget the chances that the opposition had. And Spartan had 3 chances before they actually scored. But I don't blame them for omitting these facts. I think they were better in the second half. But add to that Spartans were done. They had a couple of players that went down with cramp. I think it was 3 that went down with cramp in the second half as well. So you would imagine that if it had been battered a little bit more in the first half, then there would have been more of the Spartans going down with cramp. But I thought it was a poor performance. I do agree with Jim that they have to start the game better. I don't think they could have started it any worse at Spartans, to be perfectly honest, and they could have found themselves more than the goal down. This is a different game tonight. They're at home. They've got to please the fans. They've got to put on a show. They've got to be much, much better. Not just starting much better. I think throughout the 90 minutes they've got to be much, much better, or these home fans are going to let it be known that they're not happy.
Yeah, and I suppose it is a good thing also to pick up on what Jim Goodwin was saying, that they don't have a lot of time to mull things over. A good opportunity to bounce straight back. It's quite important, isn't it, early on in the season? You're desperate to try and rectify things early on, aren't you?
Yeah, and they've been such strong favourites in that game. It just adds a little bit of pressure if you don't win it. So what you want to do is get back on the field as quickly as possible and try and rectify that. It's a big game tonight for Dundee United, and I'm quite glad to see the young lad Cujo getting a game. I watched him last season a couple of times, and he came off the bench and he actually inspired the crowd. He got them up and got them going. And things were quite stale. He comes on the field, he does 2 or 3 little tricks and beats people and sets up chances. And I think in this league they're going to need players who can create. The weight of expectations on Dundee United to win this league means that they're going to have to be the ones who are taking the game to the opposition in every single match, and they need players like him. And I would argue they perhaps need more players.
It is a big game for Dundee United, also a big game for Partick Thistle as well. Let's hear from their manager ahead of this one, shall we? Chris Doolan also has been talking to Thomas.
Chris, obviously a big game in itself in the League Cup, but also a chance to go up against one of your division rivals this early in the campaign. A good test.
Yeah, of course. Look, Dundee United have just come out of the Premier League. They'll still consider themselves a Premiership side, so they'll be big favourites coming into this season. We know that. But for us, it's another good game. Everybody likes to come to Tannadice and play in big stadiums, and hopefully a decent crowd. So a good game for us to continue our preparations and building up towards the Championship season.
There's obviously been a lot of change since that playoff defeat. A lot of players going, a few coming in. Your squad's a bit light, but you've added Ben Williamson on loan. Just tell us about him and his qualities, and will he feature tonight? Yeah, Ben's a boy I know well. He came to Arbroath when I was still playing, and I know what he can bring to the team. He's obviously got a bit of experience even at his age. He's been around, he's played a number of games in the Premier League and the Championship, and it's that type of experience that can help. And he's still young enough to develop, so for us, there's real potential there as well. He'll give his energy in the middle of the pitch. He'll get up the pitch, he'll get back. He's a strong lad, so he'll look after himself as well. But one thing he does really well is looks after the ball. So for me, that's a big thing. But also his personality. For me, he's a guy who will fit in well with the group, and I want to bring in good guys, good players who will make us better on the pitch, but also good guys who will fit in the dressing room as well. And coming up against 2 of your old players in Ross Docherty and Kevin Holt, that's will be a bit tasty. Yeah, of course. Football's football. We could have been promoted last year and still have lost players. That's the nature of football. Players want to move on, or they go for more money. That's just the nature of the game. So yeah, it's nice to see them again, but they're on the opposite side tonight, so we'll be there to hopefully beat them. But like I said, it's not about rivalry this and rivalry that. For me, this is about hopefully us playing well, getting a result, and hopefully taking those points into the table and mounting a chance to hopefully get through this round. And just finally, expect a big response from United given the result they had on Saturday. Yeah, I mean, they'll be hurting. I think there's no two ways about that. They'll definitely be hurting, and we expect them to come out with a bit of fire in their belly, but we're going to meet them head on. And I think we speak about that even last season. We won't sit back from anybody. I don't think that's how you play these games. I think you come out, you play your way, and you trust in the players that you've got. So I'll certainly trust in the players I've got, and it's more about what we do than what about Dundee United do. For me, I can't affect Dundee United, I can't affect what they do, but we can hopefully affect what Partick Thistle do. Thanks, Chris. Good luck. Cheers. Cheers. All the best. Thank you.
Chris Doolan there, the Partick Thistle manager, looking forward to a good test this evening. He's still obviously a young manager, isn't he, Willie? How much will he have learnt from last season? Of course, the highs, but also the low as well, right at the death of this season.
Well, I think he'll have learnt from last season, take nothing for granted at no stage in any game. and it was a bitter blow. It was a real disappointing way to finish the season for him. But he is young. He will learn. He'll have many more nights like that. Maybe not quite as bad, but I'm sure he'll have his disappointments. But he'll be hoping that he'll have many highs as well. And he's done a great job, Chris Doolan, in turning the fortunes of Partick Thistle round. He's got to build the team. He's went into the market. He's lost players. He's got to try and get a performance here. This evening. It's like Dundee United. Partick Thistle will be setting their sights high. They'll be wanting to get into the top tier. They'll be wanting to do well in this competition in particular. I think that is a club that wants to lay down a marker, and you're going in against Dundee United here away from home. After, Peterhead as well. I mean, that wasn't a particularly good result for, it was a poor result actually for Partick Thistle against Peterhead, because they've had their problems last season and, struggled a little bit to put a squad together. Great result for them, but still, you would be expecting better from Partick in that game. And it's now a better test for them. I think you've got two teams with high aspirations that are looking to do well in this competition. Haven't started it particularly well, and really both of them need a result tonight.
Yeah, they certainly do. I think that's fair to say. From a Partick Thistle point of view, and specifically from a Chris Doolan point of view, it would have been such a sore one, Craig, wouldn't it, last season? Given he is a young manager, I guess it's even more important that he quickly forgets that and moves on. He doesn't want to keep on kind of festering back to that, does he?
No, but for your first season as a manager, I mean, that's an achievement, I know people say they didn't manage to but that, for me, that was when he took over. He did well and got himself into a position where he's got experience now of playing in that environment. So the next time it happens, he can rely on that. So these things, you don't want to forget everything about them. You want to remember some things that can help you the next time you get there.
You learn from it, yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely want to learn from it. So, I've been impressed with him on how he speaks and the things that he says. It pretty much makes sense, It's not always the case.
Have you actually been surprised about how well he did do when he came in? Because he had no managerial experience as well. He was coaching the kids, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, football's such a funny business, where do you learn your trade, if I mean, you can go and sit in the backroom staff and coach, over a period of time and learn things you can. But I mean, most times you're just thrown in at the deep end, Willie, aren't you? So
yeah, and you've got to take that opportunity, Craig. I don't think Chris was planning to be the Partick Thistle manager, but when the opportunity came, I know myself back in the day, I wasn't planning on being the Aberdeen manager when I was offered the job. But you've got to take it, you've got to embrace it. It is a chance to go out there and gain that experience. And as I said, the results he had last season were fantastic. Got himself into a magnificent position. Yeah, right at the very end it didn't work out for him, but as you said, he'll learn from that experience.
Yeah, he certainly will. Kick-off fast approaching here. We'll, of course, bring you live commentary from Tannadice as Dundee United take on Partick Thistle. Right, what are we thinking ahead of this one, chaps? What are our bold predictions?
Early season predictions are the hardest of the lot.
Yeah, that's why I've asked you.
I'm hopeful that Dundee United managed to win this, but I'm just hopeful.
Yeah, well,
that's about as sitting on the fence as you can get, I think.
I watched Dundee United on Saturday. I wasn't particularly impressed. They have to improve. I mean, they really have to improve. Partick Thistle going up to Peterhead and not being able to turn Peterhead over, I think would have been a disappointment for them. So, I think you've got two teams that have underperformed in the first game of the season. I'm hoping for much better this evening. I'm like Craig. I don't know where to go with this one.
Well, it's got nothing each written all over it.
Yeah, well, hopefully
and then
not.
So penalties.
It's a lovely night for football, we've got to say.
Well, it wasn't, about an hour or so ago. I tell you what, I was shades of Scotland against Georgia when that rain was tipping down. It was horrendous. Yeah,
what a difference. Willie and I were just talking about that. Changes in the heartbeat, doesn't it? Beautiful sunshine now, and previously I think there was some lightning, wasn't there? Or certainly it seemed like there was. Yeah.
The thing is, though, that the pitch will have a nice little slick on it. You would think, Willie, that kind of pitch in your day that you would you take a fancy. It looks in good nick, actually, doesn't it?
It will help the pitch. I think it's always better to get a little bit of water into the surface, particularly this time of the season. But even at this time of the seasons when I played, I don't know about Craig, but the pitches were never as good as what I'm watching here tonight. So no excuses in terms of the quality of football that we should be watching tonight.
That's one thing that certainly has improved over the years.
Without doubt.
I mean, some of those pitches that we played on, wow, unbelievable.
Yeah, no, the pitch is looking absolutely immaculate this evening, and both sets of players are now out onto that pitch, ready to line up ahead of this one. Partick Thistle in their very fetching pink and grey striped away strip, of course the tangerine top and black shorts for Dundee United out there as well. Let's hand over to our commentary team then this evening. Round 2 in effect for the majority of the Viaplay Cup this evening. Let's bring you Dundee United against Partick Thistle. We've already heard from Craig and Willie, and we've already heard from Thomas as well, who's been working like a beaver here this evening. Thomas, you're going to talk us through the first half.
Thanks, Jane. Good evening, everyone. Well, it's coming up for a year ago since Dundee United produced one of the most stirring performances this stadium has seen in the last 20 years or so, when they beat AZ Alkmaar here 1-0. Glenn Middleton scoring a wonderfully worked goal. My, how things can change a year on. They're in the Championship and humbled on day one of the new season away to Spartans in the League Cup, and now it really means that this game against Championship rivals Partick Thistle has a lot riding on it already, fairly or unfairly. Jim Goodwin and the United players are under some pressure. The United fans have bought their season tickets this season, 5,000 or so. Not a huge crowd in this evening so far, but there's pressure. And you saw the scenes at Ainsley Park after that game, where there was a few heated exchanges between supporters and staff and players, and they need to just inject some positivity here. And Partick Thistle as well, looking to banish the disappointment of that playoff defeat to Ross County in the manner in which they sort of threw it away at the end before losing on penalties. But they've had a lot of change. Chris Doolan still the manager, of course, but 11 players have left and only a couple of signings have come in. Wasiri Williams, one of them, playing tonight. Williamson added as well, and they'll look to add to their 2 points they got at the weekend against Peterhead, winning on penalties after a 1-1 draw. I'll just run you quickly through the teams if you missed them earlier. A couple of changes for United. Walton in goals, back 4 of Freeman, Denham, Holt, McMahon. Midfield of Sybil, Docherty and Glass, and Cujo and Fotheringham either side of Watt. As for Partick Thistle, Mitchell in goal, Xander McKenzie, Muirhead, Williams and Milne at the back, Bannigan and Ben Williamson in midfield, Stanway in front of them, Lawless and Fitzpatrick either side of Brian Graham, as Thistle get us underway here at Tannadice in this Group B encounter in the League Cup. And United, as I mentioned, really need a victory, because if they lose here, the maximum points they could get would be 6, which would be extremely unlikely for them to win the group from that position, and no team has gone through as one of the 3 best runners-up with fewer than 8 points. So you feel it's almost win or bust, as Harry Milne, the Partick Thistle left-back, tries to play one up the line, and it's closed down and out for a throw-in. Milne, the scorer, after just 3 minutes, his first scorer of the new competitive Scottish football season on Saturday, and he prepares to take the throw-in. Throws it in to the feet of Williamson, who looks to go down the line, blocked by Cujo, out for another throw-in. And Willie, we watched Dundee United at Ainsley Park, and they didn't do enough, is fair to say. What are you looking for in terms of improvement this evening?
Well, certainly, a higher tempo of football, more direct, perhaps. Kind of an approach to the game, I would suggest. Certainly some more creativity. I thought they lacked creativity, didn't create too many opportunities. Maybe in the second half, when Spartans tired a little bit, they took advantage of that. They're at home, and they've really got to give these fans something to go home happy with tonight.
Thomas, we've got to play with real energy and passion this evening after the performance at the weekend, and these supporters will get behind them if they do that.
Well, it's all Partick Thistle in terms of possession in the early stages, as Muirhead lofts one over to McKenzie on the right-hand touchline. He goes back to Williamson, who's seen a few early touches, the new signing on loan from Rangers. As Chris Doolan was saying pre-match, he's only 21, but he's fairly experienced, especially at Championship level. Headed forward in Denham, a centre-half on loan from Cardiff City for United. Nods it back to Walton, the keeper on loan from Luton Town. And I guess, Willie, the defensive partnership. You can see Jim Goodwin talking about he's kept with the same back line. He said that they've not played together. Well, Saturday was obviously the first time they played together. He's trying to get that continuity because they did not look comfortable at times on Saturday.
No, they didn't, and it can take a little bit of time to get an understanding. Particularly the way Jim wants them to play, because he allows the full-backs to get forward, almost playing like midfield stroke wingers, and asking them to deliver the crosses. So the two centre-backs are going to have that understanding, that communication, and it just doesn't happen overnight. I'll be hoping that improves this evening.
Loud cheers from the few hundred Thistle fans who are in the shed end at Tannadice as McMahon put a pass straight out of play, and we're on we go. And Matthew McDermott, the referee, blows for a free kick in midfield to United. They go back to Denham at centre half, and he fizzes it along to Freeman at right back, moves it on to Cujo. That is quicker than we saw it on Saturday against Spartans. Out to Fotheringham, moves it back to the halfway line. The right back Freeman, infield to Denham, across to centre half partner Holt, to left back McMahon, who takes a touch and then moves inside, but it's easily read by Stevie Lawless, and then Craig Sibbald gets into bother in midfield, but he's actually won the free kick from Williamson to get out of jail. And Lawless clearly wasn't happy with the call. He's having a few words with Matthew McDermott, the referee, but there is a free kick to United just inside their own half. Partick Thistle keen to put the pressure on. United in possession. There's Docherty, the captain last season for Thistle, gives it away, and then Kevin Holt has to bail his teammate out, and then it goes back to Walton, who thumps it up towards Tony Watt, gets a head on it, but it loops up for Muirhead to clear with the head up to halfway. Docherty wins it forward, it bounces for Watt, who gets a right-footed flick on, and it's into the box where Fotheringham is chasing, but it's dealt with by Adam Muirhead, who knocks out for a throw-in on the left-hand side for Dundee United. Goalless. 5 minutes played here at Tannadice as McMahon prepares to take the throw-in for Dundee United. He's looking for options. Watts in the penalty area. There's a run across here now from Glass, drops the shoulder, corner of the box, left-hand side. Jenks away from two, moves it backwards to Docherty, right-footed pass, spread across the midfield to Freeman, onto Cujo, who was lively at the weekend. He's beaten his first man by jinking inside, but he's run into traffic and lost out, and Milne comes away with the ball, and it's fizzed in to midfield, and here's Fitzpatrick out to Lawless, halfway line, looks up, he's in space, and he's thread a lovely little pass through for Fitzpatrick. It's out to McKenzie on the right hand side, right-footed cross, blocked in at the near post, and Walton, the goalkeeper, had to be alert just to cling to that one. It took a little nick off McMahon on the way through, 0-0.
Yeah, and United sauntered up to the Partick end for a while, and they did the reverse and coming back down this way. Nothing exciting happening so far.
And here Dundee United play out from the back, and as Willie mentioned, they really need to up the tempo from that Spartans result, because it was too easy for the League Two side at the weekend. They were able to just keep their shape and shuffle back and forth across the pitch, and United struggled for penetration. Here's Fotheringham in the side this evening, tries to go by Lawless, goes down, doesn't get the free kick. It's run out for a throw into Thistle. Young McKenzie, the academy graduate, throws in. It's a midfielder, but he's deputising at right back with Jack McMillan injured, and it's a free kick in midfield. It's Brian Graham caught late, who's a Thistle captain for the season with Docherty's departure to United, and United will have Thistle will have the free kick just inside their own half, and on we go. Williams, the centre back, summer signing from the Swansea City Academy, moves it across to Muirheads at the back to Williams, who just nudges it forward, looks for options, but Thistle finding no way through. United just keeping a fairly compact shape, and Watt goes after Muirhead, the centre back, passes it through the line to Lawless, but he's forced back. And Partick Thistle, well, they'll have ambitions, as will United, of being promoted to the Premiership again, but it just gets harder. They've got a smaller budget to work with this season. So many players departed. Kyle Turner, of course, Scott Tiffany, players who were influential in that fantastic run to the playoff final. Here's Brian Graham, receives the long ball up. Milne wants to come inside. It's bobbling about in the United box, and eventually Freeman gets a foot in and then runs it out. Or he's kept it in actually in the far side. No, it's gone out for a throw in to Thistle, who look to get on with it quickly. Stanway into Fitzpatrick, edge of the box, right foot shot in, blocked with the head of Holt, and it goes up in the air, and Walton gathers comfortably on the goal line, and it's still Dundee United 0, Partick Thistle 0 after 8 minutes.
Nothing in it at all, is it? In fact, I'd venture to say that Partick Thistle's probably started the most positively, but very few chances, very few opportunities inside the box. You're talking about finance. I think this is when, this tournament, is so important to clubs like these that are here, trying to raise some finance to, make sure that they can compete in the championship. And that's why it's got to be taken seriously. I think if you've got any ambition, at this stage, and you're one of the top clubs, certainly a championship club, then you really have got to look upon it as an earner for the rest of the season.
And that's a poor pass from Kevin Holt. It's intercepted by young Ben Stanway, and the Thistle fans cheered that one. Their former player moved up to Tannadice, and the midfielder just read that one all the way, and the Thistle play on.
Thomas, it's interesting that Dundee United have got some more attacking players on the pitch this evening than they did on Saturday. But those are young players. They're not players that have been brought in to do the attacking for the Dundee United team for the whole season. These are guys who are just going to, unless they've managed to establish themselves, they might pop in and pop back out again.
Here's Fothering. One of them moves it on to Glass, who then fizzes it out to McMahon in the left back area, left hand touchline. He's trying to take on McKenzie. Step over, drives to the byline. He's going to get the left footed cross in, hangs it to the back post where Cujo's waiting, but he was never likely to be a favourite. But it's back in for Watt. Tony Watt, can he work a shot on the right foot? 6 yards out, he's pulled it right across the face of goal. It was a tight angle, but he didn't catch it at all, and it's run through to McMahon, the left back. Again goes past McKenzie, crosses it in. It's tucked back for Glass, who's forced into the left footed shot, which he scoops over the bar. He perhaps could have taken that first time, but eventually
it was caught a bit by surprise, I think. Tony Watt was really good there. He actually laid the ball off into Declan Glass's path, and I think he just needed to be ready to shoot immediately. It was a one-touch finish for me.
Yeah, but he gets to the byline. It's a tight angle that he's got. If you've got two strikers up there, you are playing at home as well. If you've even got a midfield player that's prepared to take that run and take the gamble, it's a tap-in, isn't it? I'm looking at McKenzie as well, the full-back for Partick, right full-back. And McMahon, twice he takes him on his left foot. McMahon wants to be in his left foot all the time. How does he get by him on his left foot? I just don't know. Do they work in defence? Seriously, I don't think so.
We'll give him the get out that he's usually a centre midfielder and he's playing out of position, but
he's right-footed though, isn't he?
Yeah.
And is McMahon left foot? Yeah. Does he like it on his left foot? So what do? You put him onto, his right foot. He allowed them twice on 2 occasions in very dangerous situations as well to get by him.
Corner to Dundee United here. Sybil over it. He's going to whip it in right into the middle of the 6-yard box. Holtz gets a header on, but it was always rising and then lands on the roof of the net. Partick Thistle fans having a bit of fun with Kevin Holt already this evening. Behind for a goal kick. 0-0, 11 minutes played here at Tannadice between United and Partick Thistle.
Well, do you think? I've been quite impressed with Tony Watt so far. We're worried about his fitness, and I know it's not late in the match, and he's still going, but he's shown good energy so far.
Yeah, I think he's just a lonely figure at times, though, Craig. That's the only thing. I think you really need to try to get someone up beside him to give him a little bit of support as well. But we know he's got quality, and he has looked pretty sharp in the opening exchanges. He wilted really quickly in the second half, though, particularly after he took that penalty and it was saved against Spartans.
Dundee United in possession. Docherty midway through his own half offloads it to Holt, out to the left back McMahon, up the line to Fotheringham. Quick one-touch pass into Sybil, gives it back to Fotheringham, who comes in field. Docherty passes up to the halfway line. Glass receives, turns, faces the Thistle team, moves on to Sibbald. Left-footed pass out to McMahon at left back. Lawless is tracking back, faces him up. McMahon moves infield, in line with the edge of the box, to Fotheringham, who goes on a little run. He's pursued by McKenzie, and now Bannigan moves it back to McMahon on the left-hand touchline now. United force back deeper into the Thistle half, and then Sibbald moves it on to Denham, who's inside the centre circle. Pass on to Docherty, who's got a bit of space, getting booed by the Thistle fans. Fizzes it into Watt, who's taken a good touch and held off the defender, and he tries to dink one in behind for Cujo, but it was asking a lot of the diminutive winger, and it runs behind for a goal kick to Partick Thistle. 0-0.
I think they're taking a lot bit of grip of the game, aren't they, United? I think pretty even early stages. In fact, Thistle looking pretty good and impressive and moving the ball, but United are moving it much quicker.
And more accurately.
Yeah.
In the last 5 minutes, it's been a bit better from them.
It was just so lethargic on Saturday and too easy to defend against. You can see that Jim Goodwin's obviously worked on it, got in their ear, made sure that that's not the case tonight, and it seems to be working for them at this stage.
Graham's flicked on and Fitzpatrick's going to run in behind for Partick Thistle, but Jack Walton, the Dundee United goalkeeper, was really alert and sped off his line, and what we've seen of him has looked a fairly solid addition so far. Performance at the weekend, and it was in a position, Craig, of such importance because it was one that they really struggled with Birigiti last season.
Yeah, and they lost the big fellas at Sirius the season before, wasn't it? He was a really good goalkeeper actually. Yeah, it's always a really important position. You can't afford to have a goalkeeper in your team who continually makes mistakes. It's demoralising.
Cujo passes to Freeman on the right hand touchline. It's moved infield. Sibbald back in the team. He'd started every game under Jim Goodwin last season, but he wasn't in the side on Saturday. Straight back into midfield as Muirhead reads a pass in field from United and clears it upfield, and Holt goes back to the goalkeeper under pressure from his old teammate Brian Graham, but Walton thumps it up to halfway. Muirhead wins the header ahead of Fotheringham. Bounces for McMahon, who tries to play up the line. He doesn't get a clean connection. It eventually falls for Fotheringham anyway, and he's going to go on a run. The youngster, and he's done well. Saw off the challenge of Stanway, and he's played it to Watt, who's peeled out to the left-hand touchline. He's trying to take on McKenzie. Step over, left-footed cross, headed away by Muirhead at the front post. It bounces for Sibbald, who's going to take the left-footed shot on, but it was miles wide in the end, but worth a goal from a midfielder. 0-0.
I think he's got to be better though, isn't it? He's got to try and look more confident when he's having the strike. But Tony Watt again, good movement out towards the left-hand side. Taking on McKenzie and going by him again. So I think if I'm manager down there for United, I'm saying let's try to take advantage of that. Let's try to get down the left-hand side, get crosses in. But Craig pointed it out earlier. I think Tony Watt is looking much more hungrier tonight than he was on Saturday.
Dundee United 0, Partick Thistle 0 so far here. 15 minutes played at Tannadice in this League Cup group stage, and that was a very loose pass back to Jack Walton from Ollie Denham, the centre back, and he's apologising now. The goalkeeper says no problem, but he'll not be happy with that, and the goalkeeper had to balloon it out for a throw into Partick Thistle. It's taken fairly quickly, and Stanway was galloping in on it, but he went down and faintly claimed for a foul, but play on, says Matthew McDermott, and United are able to clear up the other end of the pitch, and that's just a bit loose from Denham, and he had a bit of a tough time from Blair Henderson, the Spartan striker, in the early stages on Saturday, so just needs to build his confidence. He's a young player. He's going to have a tough time tonight as well, isn't he? I mean, Brian Graham.
Yeah, Brian's just probably even a better version. And what I do notice is that he's playing on that side, so they've obviously watched the game from the Saturday, and he's playing on the younger centre back, and I'm sure that Brian, as this game wears on, he'll be able to outmuscle him on certain occasions.
I think that would be a wise tactic because Denham didn't deal with any kind of a simple ball forward in the air, in the ground. Got himself exposed on a couple of occasions as well. So I think he should play out there as far as Thistle are concerned, and I think Denham does need a little bit of time to just find his feet.
He made one appearance for Cardiff last season in the EFL Cup. 7 before the season before that. They do have high hopes for him. He's been called into the Wales squad as well before their World Cup playoff against Ukraine. He's not capped, but it's not looked the most certain so far. But a young player, he'll surely learn as the season goes on, and as he gets used to playing alongside Kevin Holt and Freeman and McMahon at the back. And here he is, right-footed switch of play, long raking pass, and that's an excellent pass out to McMahon right on the touchline for the left back, who moves the infield to Docherty, feints to pass, moves on to Sibbald right in the middle of the pitch, midway through the Partick Thistle half. Cujo, who's come right infield from the wing, gives a 1-2 and then he's crowded out, but he gets past Graham and he's done really well. He's driven towards the edge of the box here, out on the left-hand side, moves it on to McMahon. Left-footed cross in for Watt, but it's over the striker, and Williams, the centre-back for Partick Thistle, heads it away, but only as far as Sibbald, who moves it to Docherty. Right-footed cross into the box towards Glass, and it was over the head of the Dundee United midfielder. and we can get an update from Palmerston where there's been a goal. Cammy Bell.
Yeah, and it's a goal for the home side. Queen of the South have took the lead. It was a slack bit of play from Mugabe at the back, played a straight ball across, and Kieran McGeckney latched onto it and from 20 yards absolutely smashed it past the goalkeeper in off the post. 1-0 Queen of the South.
Well, it's early days. Oh, and that's a loose pass from Williams. He put his teammate Stanway under a lot of pressure, and United have turned it over. Here's Glass inside the box. Can he square it for Craig Sibbald? United open the scoring, and Partick Thistle only have themselves to blame. A costly pass out from the back, which was picked off. It was worked out to the edge of the box, right hand side, and in the end, Glass just had to roll it across for Craig Sibbald to just knock it into an empty net virtually from about 8 yards out. Dundee United 1, Partick Thistle 0.
Okay, it's a gift, isn't it, really? I mean, it's just dreadful defending from Williams, the centre back, left centre back. I don't know what he's thinking. It was never on. It's a pass that was easily intercepted by United, and then Glass, the pass to Glass, and Glass has the easiest opportunity just to get his head up. He's just right side of the goal there. Wasn't even that. Once Williams played the pass and it came back into him with the chance to put the tackle in, and he didn't even manage to make it difficult for Glass to go by him, and then it was just cut back for Sibbald. Does need a tap in to the back of the net.
It was a good pick out though. I thought it was a good pick out that when he pulled the ball back.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of focusing on the defence too much. Craig Emma, I just think, what is he thinking about making that pass? What is he thinking
about?
It was
a huge error.
Oh, unbelievable. But you're right, some good work after that.
Yeah, and that's really a big confidence boost that United needed because, well, let's be frank, they've taken a battering in recent months, lost their 5 post-split games to go down, lose to newly promoted League 2 side Spartans. And Jim Goodwin's already, feel as insane as it sounds, under a bit of pressure. And again, Thistle just don't get things right in the back, and Cujo's in, but the flag has gone up against the winger for offside. Is it Tony Watt who's straight offside? Not sure, but either way, the flag's gone up for something. It's offside, and Cujo was
understand that
clean through on goal.
The pass was made. The Thistle player miscontrolled it. Cujo nipped in and took the ball. I don't see where the offside came from.
No. But to be fair, we often criticise the linesman for not putting the flag up soon enough, and it did go up fairly quickly. Thistle go long, and Dundee United half clear it, and then Glass gets in, makes a good challenge, wins the ball. Cujo goes back to Freeman, the right back, and it's going to be a free kick, in fact, middle of the pitch for Dundee United. Sibbald has taken a sore one, the goal scorer, but United leading Partick Thistle by a 1-0 here, just over 20 minutes played at Tannadice in this League Cup game.
You'd have thought, coming into this match, maybe the Dundee United backline would be nervous with the passing, but it's been the opposite, hasn't it? I mean, Partick have been really careless along that back line.
Yeah, and it's consecutive as well, isn't it? It's just one after the other. You've lost one, you would think you would take stock and say, well, we've got to, get ourselves back into this game, but they haven't done that.
That's a lovely pass round the corner from Tony Watt for Freeman, but fullback loses out, and he's really high up the pitch, and then Thistle, again, it's bobbling about in their own half, and Lawless has it, and he's under pressure from Sibbald. Then Muirhead's under pressure from Watt, gets a low clearance up to halfway, and then Ben Williamson has caught Kai Fotheringham on the halfway line and gets a yellow card. The Rangers' low knee goes straight into the book, and Fotheringham is rolling about on the deck.
Fotheringham was a wee bit lucky there, wasn't he? Because he lost control of the ball, and he just managed to get a toe to it before the tackle came, because he was giving it away again.
Well, Dundee United leading by 1-0, which, as it stands, revives their hopes in Group B, because, as I mentioned, you really need to be getting 8 points, and even that wouldn't be a guarantee as a best runner-up spot. Only 4 teams have ever made it through on 8 points. Queen of the South did it last season, Morton and East Fife in 1920, Livingston did it 21-22, but you really need probably 9 points to be sure, and even then it depends slightly. United 1-0 up as Freeman has it right hand side midway through the Thistle half, moves on to Cujo, who likes to come inside, does so again, then gives it to Sibbald, on to Holt in the centre circle, left-footed pass forward for Fotheringham, one touch as he holds off a marker, and it goes all the way back to United defenders. Here's Denham out to Glass, who's dropped into the right back position, infield to Docherty, and then back again to Holt. But Dundee United certainly with a bit more intent and pace about the way they're passing the ball than they did on Saturday.
I also think Sibbald's helping in that regard. I mean, always looking to get on the ball and join the back line with the front line.
He was one of the better performers last season for sure. And here's McMahon, left-hand side, left-footed cross in towards a penalty spot. Cujo gets the first-time shot in. He was totally unmarked, but it just bounced rather harmlessly and was easily gathered by David Mitchell. In the end, the Thistle goalkeeper, and he hoofs it up the park. Denham's underneath it. This time he doesn't let it bounce and heads it away. That was his error against Spartans on Saturday. Let the ball bounce and ended up with Blair Henderson tapping into the back of the net. But he took that one on full-blooded, gets it away. It's all the way back with the Thistle defenders in their own half. Muirhead pass into Stanway, who knocks one round the corner to the right back. McKenzie on the touch line, infield to Lawless, who sprays the left-footed pass out wide to Aidan Fitzpatrick, who's going to keep it in just on the touchline, comes back in on the foot, cross for Williamson, and then Graham 5 yards out, scoops it over the crossbar, and you just expect the net to bulge there.
If you were going to want one man to be in that spot, it would be Brian Graham, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't know, maybe wrestling with the centre back, he's got a little bit off balance. I'm doing him a favour here, Willie.
Yeah.
And he scooped the ball over the bar from inside the 6-yard box.
That's a huge opportunity, isn't it? I mean, you're expecting that just to almost take the net off, aren't you? Because he's so close in, and with the pace that it's come at him as well, he just has to get his head over it and touch it. I don't know what he's done there. It might have been a little bit about wrestling and off balance, but it's a real big opportunity.
I can only think that that's the case because, I mean, I don't know how many of those have seen him score.
No, I know. And he's in the right place, isn't he? It's good work down the left-hand side, good cutback. You know, and Williamson then just rattling it across the face of the goal, and he's in the right position, and he just has to get his head over it, just the side foot into the back of the net. Somehow it pops over the bar.
And there's been a goal at Ibrox in the Alan McGregor testimonial. We'll get to that shortly as United just come forward here through Fotheringham. We'll hear from Keredin Idsan. It's back to Glass, infield to Watt as United attack just on the edge of the box. They go back to Docherty, middle of the pitch. There's a little shimmy, then feeds Watt, who's dropped in, then it goes back, deflected through to David Mitchell, the Thistle goalkeeper. Keredin.
No clean sheet for Alan McGregor in his testimonial, and almost certainly his final match. Yeah, Rangers 0, Newcastle United 1. Newcastle United looking every inch the Champions League side. Lovely play through midfield involving new signing Sandro Tonali. Came to Miguel Almiron inside the area. Lovely left-footed first-time finish into the postage stamp right-hand corner. Rangers 0, Newcastle United 1.
Yeah, you can imagine even in a testimonial match, Al McGregor will not have taken that well, conceding a goal. And as it goes back to Bannigan in the Thistle midfield, he was a doubt for this game. Chris Dolan said yesterday that he was injured, but he's passed the late fitness test. That Thistle, a legend really in the Hall of Fame, one club man. It's forward for Williamson, who's made a forward run, but his touch evades him, and it runs out for a Dundee United throw-in in line with their own box, which Holt wanders across to take. 1-0 Dundee United.
I think it, it definitely should be level. Although, if you're kind of assessing the game, I think United deserve to be in the lead. They've been the better team. They've obviously scored the goal and created a couple of opportunities. But when you're away from home, you're Partick Thistle, and you get a chance like that with your main striker right in front of goal within the 6-yard, you expect it, to be in level terms by now.
Here's Brian Graham picked up. Corner of the box, left-hand corner of the box. He's come in field and struck one with the right foot, but it's flashed wide in the end. And I think Jack Walton, the goalkeeper, looked alert, but then kind of saw it was drifting wide. But from our angle, it looked like it could have been flying into the top corner, at least initially. Yeah, but with Brian, you can't let him get on his right side anywhere around about the penalty box. I mean, he just shoots, doesn't he? That's what he does. So I mean, I think United have edged the game up to this point. They have been slicker with their passing, although there was another error there just now that led to that chance for Partick. But I think Jim will be reasonably happy with the way his team have started the match. Yeah, they're 1-0 in front, crucially. Brian Graham, he'll be raging at that miss that he had a few moments ago. 5 yards out, scooped it over. 22 goals and 45 appearances last season, including 5 in the playoffs as well. As Partick Thistle get a free kick on the halfway line, more or less, and a chance to put the United backline under some pressure.
I don't think there's any doubt it was a free kick as well. It was just two hands into the back of Brian Graham.
But he did feel those two hands, and you couldn't push Brian Graham over if you tried.
No.
Right? So those two hands, he felt both hands and he knew what he had to do.
Lawless on the halfway line, moves it across to Williams. He'll need to try and put that error for the United goal out of his mind. The Englishman, he moves it out to the left hand side with the left back Milne, beats Cujo and then fizzes one in from the left hand side, but it was straight down the throat of Jack Walton, the United keeper. And then he looks to throw quickly but then thinks better of it and just waits for Cujo to fix his boot or his sock. And the winger just jogs up the pitch and Walton rolls it out to the feet of Denham, who moves it into Docherty and gives it back. And Denham, Jim Goodwin described him as a modern centre back, so we saw one switch of play. Obviously needs his confidence built, but look to get on the ball and pass it forward as he doesn't here to Cujo. Gets it back.
It's not. People get confused sometimes about modern day centre backs. It's still about keeping the ball out of the net.
Yeah. It's as though olden time centre backs couldn't pass a ball.
Out to Graham, right hand touchline for Partick Thistle, right footed cross, doesn't fall for Mackenzie, it goes all the way through the back post for Fitzpatrick, though he's taking a touch outside the box, 20 yards out, looks to work the space for the right footed shot, and it's hit off him and deflects out for, I think, a goal kick. Yeah, goal kick to Dundee United. But Thistle have just come back into it again in the last 5 minutes or so.
I would say just on the modern centre back, I think they're given a lot of responsibility. They're left in their own a lot, to deal with strikers. Although invariably it's only the one striker. Usually, but the full-backs tend to not be there. They don't cover in. They don't give you any help whatsoever. The two centre-backs are asked to defend.
Denham, if he's bright enough, he'll learn from this tonight. And I will from the game on Saturday as well.
Yeah.
Dundee United 1, Partick Thistle 0 in this League Cup Group B match. Thistle with 2 points on the board already with that bonus point penalty win. Well, it was a draw against Peterhead. They took the bonus point in the shootout. United obviously lost their opening game against the Spartans, but they've been much better here in the opening half hour at Tannadice, and they have the lead courtesy of Craig Sibbald's goal after 19 minutes, pouncing on a Partick Thistle error from Williams. Eventually Glass squared it and he tapped it home from a few yards out, and United still in front. McMahon throwing, feet of Sibbald just inside the Thistle half, goes back to Denham, who's got Freeman out to his right hand side, gives it to the full back, moves it to Cujo, hugging the touchline, but he's just inside the Thistle half and is forced backwards. Denham takes a touch and then again goes the switch of play out to McMahon. That worked well before and it's done so again. McMahon controls it, then runs at Lawless. He's gone past the McMahon, gets the byline, dinks across in where Glass is waiting, gets the head on, but it's blocked by Milne. It's up in the air in the Thistle box. Cujo's going to go for the acrobatic effort, doesn't catch it cleanly, and Williamson comes away with it outside the Thistle box, moves it back to Lawless, who shifts it to Muirhead, who just says that's enough lads, and puts the foot through it up towards Graham. Holt's header, and then Williamson's climbing all over Sibbald, but it's play on, and then Holt heads forward and Watt's going to try and get onto this, but Williams was covering, runs through to David Mitchell. United 1, Thistle 0, 33 minutes played.
It's a little bit untidy, that, wasn't it, in the middle? Is it Williams that's down there, is it?
Williamson,
yeah. Williamson that's down there.
I think, was it Sibbald? Was it that? I think he just made a...
Yeah, he went right over the...
Yeah, he made a back
right over his back and just fell. Sibbald moved and he just fell clean on the deck. He's up now.
He's okay.
Okay.
But there's some space down the Partick Thistle right hand side, isn't there? It's been exposed maybe half a dozen, 8 times so far, and it's still early in this game.
Graham looking to feed off scraps up front, but it's fallen to a tangerine jersey, but Thistle win it back, and here is Graham, right left hand corner of the box, looks to come in the right foot, moves on to Williamson, cuts it back, Graham gets it back, and right footed shot, sticks it in the bottom corner. He doesn't need asked twice. Missed a sitter 10 minutes or so ago, but United give the ball up and bang, it's squared across the goal, and Brian Graham is up and running for the new season, and it's Dundee United 1, Partick Thistle 1.
Yeah, good play by Thistle. Again, we'll come on to the defending from Dundee United shortly, but Yeah, stole the ball, and I think it was a great reverse pass in behind by Brian Graham, and then he's obviously called for the cutback as well. Come back into him, and he's missed one already that you would never expect him to miss. I mean, the chances of him missing 2 in a row are well nigh zero.
It's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, it's fantastic play from the big striker. Him and Williamson really linking extremely well. United give possession away. The error is there for everybody to see, but then it's still got to be worked, and it's a lovely little reverse pass from Brian Graham, and then Williamson just puts it into his path. He's desperate for it, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then he's calm and collected as he just slots it into the far corner. Really well taken goal.
And you can see Ben Williamson on his Thistle debut. He's just signed a few hours ago. He's already made a couple of telling impacts in the final third. And Dundee United, well, this will be a test of how they can respond given all that's gone on at the club in the last few months. And the Thistle fans behind the goal at the shed end with something to shout about. Here's Cujo, though, looks for the run of Fotheringham in behind, but it's easily claimed by Mitchell, the Thistle goalkeeper, who quickly rolls out to Bannigan. Thistle with their tails up. Bannigan moves it to McKenzie, the full-back, inside his own half, out wide. Back to Muirhead, who goes long with the right foot up to Graham, who's battling with Denham, and he wins the flick on. And he's got the second ball as well off the chest. Moves it out to the left-hand side for Fitzpatrick, who comes back in on the right foot, and he's allowed to do so by Freeman. Moves it back to the left, and he's tried the cross to the back stick, but he didn't get hold of that one at all, and it's gone straight behind for a goal kick, 1-1.
Yeah, again, you can see him struggling, Denham, with the height of Brian Graham there, the physical aspect of it. He doesn't deal with it well at all.
Just look at the shape of the two of them, Willie. Look at Graham and how solid he is, and the young lad. I mean, we've all been that size at one time, We know how difficult it is to play against really strong centre forwards. But you have to learn, don't you?
You do, and you have to deal with it.
Absolutely.
That's an excellent pass up to him as well from Muirhead, and Thistle really are on the front foot now. Here's Williamson, who's looked tidy, turns away from Sybil, but he doesn't give up the United midfielder, and he forces him to go all the way back to Muirhead. Shifts it across to Williams. We're breathing a bit of a sigh of relief that his error has been cancelled out for now at least. Here is the centre back. Gets it back from Bannigan. Into midfield, Williamson, who's having a really good battle with Sibbald, and Dundee United have turned it over courtesy of Sibbald out to Cujo. Jinks in about 25 yards from goal, and again he just runs into traffic, runs out of room, and Stanway made the tackle. And then there's a foul on Fitzpatrick, is there? No. Yes, there is. Matthew McDermott blows the whistle, much to the ire of the Thistle fans behind the goal, but it did look like a foul initially.
Thought it was assault, to be perfectly honest. I think it was Freeman that was coming in there, was it? That put the challenge in. The referee quite nonchalantly just pointed for a free kick, but for me, I thought that was quite a wild challenge.
Yeah, just the one booking so far, Ben Williamson, for a challenge 15 minutes or so ago. It's Dundee United 1, Partick Thistle 1. Brian Graham cancelling out Craig Sibbald's opener. Freeman wins the header in the right back area, and it's picked up by Sibbald. And I just wonder, Willie, when you look, Sibbald's put in a pretty good performance, and that was missing from a lot of their play in midfield on Saturday.
It was. I mean, it's both sides of the game as well, isn't it? He closes down so well too. He covers the ground really quickly, but he looks to get on the ball all the time, so he's got the right balance here. If you're looking at a midfield player and someone that can do that, and Sybil can certainly do that. He was missed on Saturday, but he's been impressive tonight.
He's a tough lad, he doesn't mind a challenge.
No, he looks it.
I think if I remember rightly, his family are farmers or something like that. They're always quite hardy and tough.
Yeah.
Knows the championship as well. Played over 200 times for Falkirk at a young age, and Thistle looking to get on the front foot, but it's a loose pass straight out. United will get the throw in their own half. 1-1 as we tick towards half time. 7 or 8 minutes left, plus whatever stoppage time is forthcoming. It's been a very even game, a good game. United's looking to make sure that they keep their hopes of progressing in this competition alive. 2 times winners, of course. 5 times runners-up. Embarrassed at the weekend, but they've been better so far, albeit they've been pegged back by Brian Graham's goal. Really well taken goal inside the box. A poacher's finish, but he set it up. He was involved in the build-up as well. And it's a free kick to Dundee United in their own half.
United have kind of gone back in their shell a little bit. Yeah, they were quite confident at 1-0, and I think they're just taking a little bit of knock to their confidence.
Yeah, I think their character's been tested, isn't it? At home as well, after a poor result. Thinking everything's gone swimmingly well, and then you find yourself back in level terms again.
We heard Jim Goodwin saying pre-match they will be relying on a lot of the youngsters, or people who we think are youngsters, maybe 22, 23, but not played a lot of first team games. Thistle have the ball. Fitzpatrick left hand side, low cross the edge of the area, looking for Graham, but Holt read it and cleared up towards Tony Watt, who loses the battle with Williams, who gets a good foot in. It falls for Muirhead, who goes long with the right foot, switch of play to the left hand touchline. Fitzpatrick touches it infield to Milne, gets it back, then puts it into Graham, who's peeled out to the left hand corner of the box, then takes a fall to the ground and gets a free kick in a very handy position for Partick Thistle.
But again, young Denham, I mean, why is he get so close? I mean, he's not going to win that ball. All he needs to do is just shield it, doesn't he? Keep him going away for goals. It doesn't make sense to make a challenge there.
And give away a free kick, and it's tasty, isn't it? It's one that you've now got to go make sure that defensively you're organised as well and take care of it, when really there's no need for it whatsoever. Absolutely spot on.
Well, it looks like Aidan Fitzpatrick's going to take this free kick. Kyle Turner was the potent set piece taker for Thistle last season. He's obviously moved on to Ross County, and it is Fitzpatrick. Puts it into, where's a 6-yard box, and it's a good defensive header from Scott McMahon to turn it behind Thistle corner.
Dangerous one. It's just kind of lifted into the 6-yard line, and the question is, does the goalkeeper come out or does your defenders take care of it? Scott McMahon read it really well there, and just taking no chances putting it out for the corner.
39 minutes gone, 1-1. Corner comes in, right foot again. It's McMahon who's under it on the edge of the 6-yard box and heads it away. Here's Stanway, young academy graduate, out to the right hand side where Williamson has drifted. He's taken on Tony Watt, gets past him, then he tries to go past McMahon, but McMahon's battled really well and ended up winning the goal kick back off Williamson. And there's been another goal at Palmerston. Last we heard, Queen of the South were 1-0 in front. What's happened, Cammy Bell?
Yeah, and it's an equaliser for Motherwell. It was brilliant play from Slattery down the right hand side, drove in, cut inside and laid it back for Blair Spittle from about 10 yards, and he just smashed it home. Them two players have been absolutely phenomenal in this half, worked really well together, and it's now Queen of the South 1, Motherwell 1.
Motherwell back on level terms then. Put at bay a shock for now at least. Plenty of time left, of course, but we did see a few shocks in the first round of fixtures. St Johnstone beaten by Stenhousemuir, St Mirren beaten by Montrose. I don't know what it is about top flight sides that often don't seem ready for the start of the season, and I suppose a lot of managers are still trying to get their squad sorted. Switch of play out to McMahon in the Thistle half. He goes up for the header, loses out, and it's Williams who's closed down by Cujo, who tries to get a pass through to Watt inside the box, and it didn't fall for the Dundee United striker, and Mitchell claims it, and it's still United 1, Partick Thistle 1.
It took a little bit of time there, the big centre back, didn't he? Williams to make his mind up, and Cujo's in, although I think you would normally see that being given as a foul, would you not, when the studs are up and the central defender's trying to
perhaps
kind of use the instep to clear it. I mean, personally, I didn't think it was a free kick. I thought Cujo read it particularly well, and Williams just took too long to try and clear it, but you normally see it being given.
1-1 here at Tannadice. Holt, the Dundee United centre half, puts it out from the back, from the edge of his own box, and then McMahon takes one too many touches. He's lucky that Lawless didn't just nick in there, but he just gets it away back to Holt, who moves it across the back line to Denham, out to Freeman, right hand side, shifts it forward a couple of paces, and moves it on to Watt, who's dropping deeper into his own half, outside of the foot pass to Holt, looks up and he's going to ping it out to the left hand side where McMahon's in acres of space yet again, and it's put on a plate for him. He's going to cross in off the touchline. McMahon onto the penalty spot where Watt was waiting and got his head on the ball, but it was 12 yards out and he didn't generate any power, and Mitchell was able to comfortably claim it. And then Denham has hauled down Brian Graham here, and it's going to be a free kick, and Denham is going to go into the book, and he's putting his hands out, he's complaining, but he was banged to rights. He had his arms right round him.
He has to make sure that he's just making contact with one hand and that Graham can't grab a hold of him. But that's all that's happening. Graham's got a hold of him, he reverses into him, they both fall over, and Graham gets a foul. That's what the extra 10 or 12 years of experience gets you.
Streetwise, he He's learning on the job, Ollie Denham.
He's far too tight, Will. He's never going to win a header against him anyway. So just stay arm's length away and don't commit yourself, because I get another opportunity to throw a ball in the box for Thistle.
Yeah, Bannigan out on the left-hand side, left-footed delivery out to the back post, and there was a little header on that from Harry Milne, but it was never troubling Walton. But yeah, Denham, he's really up against it, against Brian Graham. Such a prolific goal scorer for Thistle. Big boost that he's signed on till 2025. Here Dundee United, McMahon inside his own half, left-footed pass up the touchline to Fotheringham, who was lively early on, but it's kind of fallen out the game a bit. Kai Fotheringham, he's dropping deep to try and get on the ball, and then Sibbald, Holt, first time pass across the back line to Denham, who's got space to run up to halfway, and he's going to again look for the switch of play, right foot up towards Docherty. Good header from young Xander McKenzie, and it's back to Theo Williams, who doesn't look comfortable, took a heavy touch, and he's frantically cleared it at the second attempt towards Lawless, who loses out. Fotheringham miscontrols. Thistle have the ball back. McKenzie goes back to Muirhead, who's under a slight pressure from Tony Watt, but puts it up the pitch, and here's Graham, and Denham is all over the back of him again, and again Graham gets it away, but it's intercepted by Freeman, who looks for Cujo perhaps in behind, but it went all the way through to David Mitchell, and Thistle will come forward again, and they're looking to get it forward quickly. Thistle put United under pressure, and here's another chance with Denham. This time stays composed to stop Fitzpatrick from running in behind, and clears it up to Cujo, who's on the right hand touchline infield looking for Glass, who's caught late, and is he going to get the free kick here? I mean, you can hear what the fans here at Tannadice think, but he doesn't get it, and it's play on, and here's Fitzpatrick driving towards into the box. He comes in, looks for the right-footed shot, really good block by Denham, good recovery from the young centre-back, and it's out towards the touchline, and Milne looking to let this run out for a corner, but it doesn't run. Thumps it off Freeman, who then stops it going out from a throw-in and puts it up towards Watt, and then Williams, the centre-half, eventually heads it out for a Dundee United throw. 1-1, a few minutes to go before half-time.
It looked quite a heavy tackle, didn't it, from
Williams?
And you can always tell where the ball goes, and it certainly didn't go
spinning
the way that Williams wanted it to go. It seemed to squirm out to the left-hand side, but the referee was having none of it. It's been quite a good game, though, isn't it? I mean, it's high tempo. You know, I think the fans that are here, not a huge crowd, but I think they're enjoying it.
I think both teams are trying really hard. That's it. That's evident. I mean, it's been interesting to watch the ebb and flow of confidence from one team back to the other. And I think you're looking at two maybe fragile teams at the moment with the results at the weekend. I know that Thistle got a 2-point bonus or whatever it was.
10-9.
And penalties 10-9.
Well, you can hear the ire of the Dundee United fans, because Tony Watt was caught by Ben Stanway, and he got a free kick, and Stanway in fact was booked, and now Tony Watt is having words with Brian Graham and the official, and there was no doubt it was a foul. He caught him late, and clear with that perhaps missed one from Williamson a few moments ago. The fans just getting a bit disgruntled, and Matthew McDermott, the ref, blows the whistle, and United go short. Back to Holt with a free kick over across to McMahon, left hand side, up the line to Fotheringham, infield to Sibbald, first time back to McMahon, back in the left back position, does well to go around Brian Graham, who shakes his head and traipses back towards halfway. It's on to Denham, up towards halfway, pass infield to Docherty, who's dropped in, and again United look for that switch out to the left where Fotheringham is waiting. Nice touch with the right foot, and he's driving up McKenzie's into the box. Can he get past the defender? He can, and his cross is blocked. Good recovery at least from Xander McKenzie, the makeshift right back. United corner, 1-1.
The problem is for Partick, it's on all the time. McKenzie's too far in the park. He's not defending the wide area at all. At times there's two players out there too, which makes it even more difficult for him. I would say he did really well there to stop the cross coming in, but you know, down this left hand side for United, it's a huge threat for Partick.
Corner, Declan Glass is over on this near side as we sit in the Jim McLean stand here at Tannadice. Glass will curl this in with a right foot, and there's a lot of bodies on top of the goalkeeper. It's a stramash in the penalty area, and that's exactly where it's gone, and the goalkeeper comes. Mitchell doesn't get there. It is cleared eventually as far as Sibbald, 25 yards out, moves it to Fotheringham, whose pass is extremely loose, and it goes straight out the pitch for a Partick Thistle throw-in. In fact, that is the last act of this first half in this thoroughly enjoyable encounter in Group B in the League Cup group stage. United got themselves in front. Craig Sibbald, after 19 minutes, they capitalised on some really slack play at the back from Partick Thistle. Wasiri Williams, their summer signing from Swansea, with a poor pass out. It was intercepted. Glass ran down the right hand side of the box, jinked in and squared it across the box for Sybil to tap home from right in the middle of the goal. And from them, United had their tails up, but credit to Thistle, they plugged away and they started to get a foot on the ball. Graham got them up the pitch a lot, and he had a gilt-edged chance to equalise. Williamson put it across and he scooped it over from 5 yards out, but he wouldn't be denied a second time. Williamson again with some really good work as Brian Graham gave him the ball. He charged into the box and squared it back for Graham, who stuck it away with the right foot into the far corner. And that's how we stand at the break. Half-time here at Tannadice, and it's Dundee United 1, Partick Thistle 1.
The Scottish League Cup.
This is the chance they've been waiting for. Cross-court comes back in.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Yeah, one apiece here at Tannadice between Dundee United and Partick Thistle. Reaction to come from this one. We'll just give Craig and Willie just a little time to recover after their excerpts in the opening 45 minutes in this one. Plenty of other cup ties this evening. We'll bring you the half-time scores from tonight's other ties in just a moment. But first of all, let's cross over to Cammy Bell, who can bring us up to speed with what's been happening in the other cup tie we're covering this evening between Queen of the South and Motherwell. Cammy, what's been happening?
Hi Jane, yeah, it's Queen of the South 1, Motherwell 1. It was a frantic start to the first half, but there wasn't a lot to split between the League One side and the Premier League team. But after 20 minutes, the game really came to life. It was a slack pass from Mugabe across the back. Kieran McGeckney picked the ball up, took it past one defender and struck the ball from 25 yards in off the post, giving Oxborough absolutely no chance in the Motherwell goal. Queens again tried to push forward on the break. They really threatened on the break the whole half, and it was a great ball in from McKechnie again, and Minmore found his header, but well saved by Oxborough. Motherwell pushed back and Miller had a shot from 25 yards. It was well saved as well by Bofferall. But then again, 40 minutes, Motherwell were knocking on the door again. It was a brilliant save from Bofferall in the Queen of the South goal. 42 minutes, it was a great build-up play from Slattery down the right-hand side, beat one defender, cut in, cuts the ball back, and there's Blair Spittle right in the 8 yards out to smash the ball home. First half here, it's Queen of the South 1, Motherwell 1.
Thanks very much to Cammy. Yeah, one apiece there, one apiece here as well at Tannadice. Let's bring you up to date with the other half-time scores around the country in this what's, effectively for the vast majority of the teams, the second round of the group stages of the Viaplay Cup. In Group A, Alloa Athletic 0, Stirling Albion 0. Ayr United are leading Stenhousemuir by 1-0 at half-time in that one. In Group B, we know it's one apiece between Dundee United and Partick Thistle here. The Spartans are losing 1-0 against Falkirk at half-time in the other match in Group B. Venturing into Group C, it's Cove Rangers 3, Clyde 1, Hamilton Accies 1, Brecon City 0. In Group D, Greenock Morton are leading Stranraer by 1-0. No goals in Group E between Bonnyrigg Rose and Dundee, but Dumbarton are beating Inverness Cally Thistle by 1-0. Could we have a upset on the cards in that one? In Group F, it's Dunfermline 2, Annan Athletic 0, and Wraith Rovers against Albion Rovers still goalless at half-time. In Group G, East Fife are beating Elgin City by 2-0. We know it's one apiece between Queen of the South and Motherwell. And in Group H, it's Montrose 0, Forfar Athletic 2. We'll bring you all the full-time results from those other Viaplay Cup ties later on in the programme. Let's drop in to Govan, shall we, and Ibrox, where Rangers are playing Newcastle United in Alan McGregor's testimonial. Kennedy Nitsan is there for us. Kennedy, are they still playing that one, or are they finished yet at the half-time yet?
We are still playing here at Ibrox, but guess who's not playing? The man of the night, the man whose testimonial it is, Alan McGregor. He was substituted after 36 minutes, so a rapturous round of applause here, as you would expect. Was hugged by every single one of the 10 outfield Rangers players. That would suggest, although we've not had it officially, that he will be retiring after this, but certainly an emotional send-off for him. He'll be annoyed though, because he conceded a goal in those 37 minutes or so that he was on field. Lovely left-footed finish into the bottom right-hand corner from Miguel Almiron. Newcastle have dominated the opening stages of this match, but lately Rangers have come into it. A couple of chances, one for Cantwell, which was put just wide, and Sam Lammers as well brought Karius into action at the other end. Quite a subdued atmosphere, though. Some nice football, particularly from Newcastle United. We've played 45 minutes now, so half time is nigh. Rangers 0, Newcastle United 1.
Thank you, Kerry. More reaction to this one here at Tannadice between Dundee United and Partick Thistle to come shortly. Let's return to matters here in this Viaplay group match, cup match between Dundee United and Partick Thistle. One apiece it is. Craig Levine, your take on the opening 45 minutes?
It's been quite enjoyable, actually. I mean, one thing that was obvious, I mean, I didn't see the match on Saturday, but with Willie's accurate description of what happened, I could tell within 5 minutes that there was a different mentality with United, certainly, because they were getting after it and they were crisp with their passing, were playing with energy, and there's been some good things for Dundee United. They've been a little bit loose with their passing, but it is early on in the season, so we'll forgive them that for a little bit. And I think Thistle have done well. They've come back into the match. They've scored a good goal. Brian Graham, terrible. It's these two first names, isn't it? So he had a brilliant chance, and that's a sign of a good striker, the way he gets himself back in the position again, exposes himself to the criticism, and he puts the ball in the back of the net, and he doesn't get any criticism, even from me.
Yeah, we've certainly seen him do it so often. 21 goals last season and 45 appearances. He's actually missed a penalty in the shootout last weekend, so he's up and running for this season. But yeah, it was a good finish, and it was a good finish from the Dundee United point of view as well, to put them 1-0 up as well. Good play, capitalising on a bit of a slack pass that you were talking about, but good play, Glass to Sibbald.
It was, yeah, but it was calamitous from the centre back. I know we talk about modern centre-back, we talk about modern coaches, and modern coaches seem to have this thing in their mind that centre-backs have got to pass the ball. And pass the ball, when it's not on to pass it, he's at the left edge of his box. He's tried to play a pass into a midfield player who is marked. So the likelihood is that he's not going to, at best, he's going to lose possession. At worst, it's going to be possession that's then going to cause a goal, and that's exactly what happened. But he had a second chance, Williams, as well, as the ball was played to Glass, and he was unable to defend that situation as well. I think he gets such a shock when the ball came back to him that he almost froze. And then it was a simple cut back for Sybil just to slip it into the back of the net. So for me, from a Partick Thistle point of view, it was just a dreadful goal to lose. But from United, it was good pressing. They were up on top, and seeing the opportunity that Partick Thistle are trying to build it up in an area where they shouldn't. So it's extremely good play from United. And at that time, I think United were well on top, Craig. I thought they had the measure of Thistle. Thistle started the game particularly well, but after 10 minutes,
they got into a rhythm, didn't they?
They did, yeah. And they were energetic, they were enthusiastic, they were putting Partick under pressure, they were winning the ball back early, and they were using it early too, and they looked really threatening. But then to lose the goal, I thought it was a really good goal though. I thought Brian Graham worked it really well after missing that opportunity. He was desperate to make amends for it, and he linked up with Williams and down that left hand side and finished it really coolly into the far corner.
Was the second chance actually harder?
It was, I would doubt.
I thought so as well.
But you don't think he knows that he should have scored with that first one? Mind he's had the shot as well from wide in the left, where he's trying to get himself back, mentally, where he should be scoring goals. And he certainly did that with the goal that he scored. It was a great, well-worked goal. And it was instigated by him as well, picking the ball up, playing a little pass, going for the 1-2 and finishing really well.
Yeah, it was a good finish from him, wasn't it?
Sorry, Jim, I think both managers will be fairly happy with parts of that half. Not all of it, of course. There was a lot of slack passing from both teams. But they're playing in the right way. They're playing with aggression, and their supporters, both sets of supporters, seem to be reasonably happy with what's going on in the field.
Yeah, and the supporters will be quick to let you know if they're not happy, as we all know. Willie, I think you were a little bit critical of Ollie Denham in the Partick Thistle defence. He's made a few mistakes that you were not too impressed about. Is that fair to say?
I think it's a physical side of the game that he's got to be able to deal with. Against Brian Graham, and Brian Graham's a handful. Craig pointed it out on a couple of occasions. He's getting too close to him when he really doesn't have to. There's no need when Thistle are on the ball and they've got easy possession and the striker's coming off and it's played up to his feet. You're not going to win these balls. You're as well just giving a yard little touch.
It's a good ball, you can't win it.
You can't win it. So, and he's got to learn that. But he's a young centre back. He's a young modern centre back. I think a young modern centre back means that he can pass the ball, but he's not very good defensively.
And he's still got to learn a lot. These young modern centre backs.
And once he's an older centre back, he'll learn how to.
He's not so modern.
He'll learn how to defend.
Yeah, listen, he is young. I think he's just turned 21 years old. He's not had much first team football actually. I think he was at Manchester United, a youngster, moved on to Cardiff where he's here on loan from, but he's not had a great deal of first team football, and I guess that kind of tells out there, doesn't it?
You need to learn it, and you can only learn by exposing yourself to situations like this. And actually the more important the game is, the better it is for you, as long as you handle it in the right way and you don't crumble. I've seen that happen as well.
Yeah, listen, he uses the ball well. He has used the ball well. He's had a number, maybe about 3 or 4 cross-field passes from
That'd been
right
excellent. His long-range passing,
really good. So, yeah, I can see why Jim Goodwin wants him, but when you bring youth in, then you've got to expect that he's going to take a little bit of time to settle in. He needs that experience, he needs game time, and that's what he's getting. He's going to make mistakes along the way, but yeah, it looks a good prospect. I would suggest better than I thought.
I would like to see him in 3 years' time. Just see how he's developed physically and how he's then. So you can fight a centre forward if you're stronger than them. If they're a lot stronger than you, the last thing you want to do is allow them to feel you. So you need to keep them at arm's length. So they're always searching for you. What that does is stops them concentrating on the game. So they're not like settled when the ball arrives at their feet. And then in any sort of situation where you've got it at arm's length, if they lose control of the ball, you can nick round and take it away from them. So that's the type of defending he needs to do just now until he gets stronger and he can compete physically.
Right, let's see how the second half pans out in this cup tie, shall we? Both teams are out on the park. I think there's been a couple of changes there. I kind of missed it as I turned round there, but no doubt Thomas Duncan is all over it as he brings us through the second half of this one, along with Craig and Willie again.
Well, definitely saw Louis Moult walking onto the pitch, and there he is, United's new number 9 with the ball in the centre circle, preparing to take the kick-off. And that'll be something that the fans here at Tannadice are desperate to see. They've obviously lost Stephen Fletcher, who was a big focal point for them last season, and he's on the pitch.
They take Tony Watt off, I think.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's right. Tony Watt has gone off, and he's got another half under his legs because he is coming back from an ankle injury. Didn't play much at the end of last season. And we're up and running again at Tannadice as Thistle's Fitzpatrick battles with Docherty and then United half, and Docherty eventually is on the deck and gets a hook ball away, but Thistle come away with it. Bannigan into Fitzpatrick, but his touch was a bit loose, and United clear down to the right back for Thistle. Mackenzie, who gives it to Lawless, who's under pressure from Sibbald, who's worked really hard in the United midfield. Moves it forward to Mikkelsen, who's also come onto the pitch. And Cujo on the right hand side, underlapping run of Freeman. His cross is blocked, gives it back to Cujo, is inside the box. Can he get the shot away? His touch was heavy, it allowed Stanway, I think, it was Harry Milne in fact, to get across and make a crucial tackle. Maybe he just need to be a bit sharper and get the shot away there. His touch kind of let him down, Cujo.
Yeah, and normally that's probably the biggest asset, is the technical side of the game. I think he's just been a little bit off it today. I mean, it's a fact he's not played much football, and he's thrown in an important match like this. But he's worked hard, you can't complain about that.
Yeah, 1-1 here in the second half. Goes all the way through to Freeman at right back, gives it into the field Mikkelsen, who started at the weekend. He's on at half time. Thistle have it though, left hand side Fitzpatrick, and he's gone for a long ball over the top to Brian Graham, who's going to chase after this all the way to the byline, but he's maybe 10 years ago he might have reached that, but it was just too far ahead. It was asking quite a lot.
he's one of these centre backs that he's a much better player now than he was 10 years ago. Believe it or not, I just think he's turned into a really, really reliable and dangerous centre forward.
And especially in the Championship this season, which these two will be competing in, if you've got a goal scorer, there's really not much between the teams. You've got a guy who can stick the ball in the back of the net, that could be absolutely huge.
Yeah, but he's that, and he takes you up the field. That's the other thing, he manages to move the game from one end of the field to the other.
Here's Denham, the United centre-back, takes a touch inside his own half, and again he goes for the big switch of play out to the left-hand side, but that one was just a bit wayward. It's probably the first wayward one he's hit, in fairness. Goes through to David Mitchell, the Thistle goalkeeper. 1-1, a couple of minutes into the second half here at Tannadice.
It's still on though. I mean, the first half, it was on time and time again, that switch into the right back area against Thistle. And this is the beginning of the second half. You would think, there'd have been a little bit of talk in the dressing room that it is a dangerous area and that you need to do something about it. And it seems to be that nothing has been done about it. Just a poor pass from Denham on that occasion.
Well, obviously, if it stays 1-1 or if there's a draw, we'll get a shootout for the extra bonus point, Craig's favourite. A 2-point game. Walton, the goalkeeper for United, out short to Holt, who's got all of his own half to run up to, and he dinks the left-footed pass again into that Thistle right-back area, but it's over-hit and behind for a goal kick to Partick Thistle. Partick Thistle looking to get through the group stages again. They got all the way to the quarter-finals last year before losing 4-1 to Jim Goodwin's Aberdeen up at Pittodrie. It can be definitely an earner for these clubs, as well as obviously the glory of getting to Hampden potentially. And it's forward United, left back McMahon has to go back to Holt, who then has to go back to Walton, the goalkeeper, who clears it down the field, left-hand touchline, halfway line. Fotheringham loses out, and it's bounced to midfield for Williamson. He bounces off Docherty and then hits the deck. Too far in front of him. Cujo picks up in his own half. He's got plenty of time to turn. Offloads it to Sibbald. Passes infield to Docherty midway through his own half. And again, it's the right-footed switch out to the left-hand touchline where Fotheringham is waiting. Gathers just infield. Moves it to Docherty, halfway line. Across to Denham, who's got space to gallop into it if he fancies it. He does fancy it, and he slows down. Plays the short pass out to the right-hand side, and Freeman up the line to Cujo, infield to Louis Moult, who gets a first touch and he gets a clip of the heels, goes down for a free kick, and then he's shoved. Williams then kicks the ball off him to try and go quickly, and then holds his hands out into the thick of the action, the striker, and United go short.
Remember that used to be a yellow card, if one
obstructed
stood in front of the ball. Two of them stood in front of the ball on that occasion, nothing done.
Fotheringham, near post cross, well cut out by Aaron Muirhead, the Thistle centre-back. Still with United, Docherty into the middle pitch. Denham's gone all the way forward, 30 yards from the Thistle goal, out to the right-hand side where Cujo stands up Milne. Comes infield, looks for the deep cross with the left foot. It's blocked off Fitzpatrick. Denham into Sibbald, goes back to Denham. And Denham played what could have been a really good pass if Freeman was on the same wavelength, but the right-back waited. And the pass went through the gap and out for a throw in, I think, right at the corner flag. Yeah, to Partick Thistle, 1-1. And Harry Milne, the left back for Thistle, clutches the ball. He's asking for some movement. Up the line to Graham, who just turns Cujo, but it's into the feet of Docherty, the United captain. Thistle captain last year, of course. All the way back to Holt, left centre half, out into Meekison. Holt moves it out to McMahon, the left back. Still United's 1, Thistle 1. 6 minutes into the second half here at Tannadice. Fotheringham comes in off the left wing. He's driving into the edge of the D, and he's looked to slip through Meekison. It's a crucial interception because Meekison was through on goal in the box. Cujo recovers the ball for United, moves it in, and then again Fotheringham's lurking, looking for a pass on the edge of the D, but it evades him. It's all the way back with Denham, but United probing, looking to get a foot on the ball. Back to Holt.
Moult looks quite lively, doesn't he? What he's done so far.
Yeah, he's definitely getting himself involved. He's in the middle of the box at the moment, waiting for a cross, which does come in. Cujo is at the front post, nicked away by the Thistle defence, and Freeman goes out to chase it on the right-hand touchline. It goes behind for a Dundee United throw, and Freeman was prevented from going quickly. Looks for an option. Mikason shows for it, doesn't get it, and then Moult comes right across, right hand corner of the box, and he's given it infield to Freeman, but it's good strength from the left back. Milne, who just turns away, eases Freeman off the ball, and then his clearance comes off Freeman and out for a Partick Thistle throw in. It's still Dundee United 1, Partick Thistle 1. And there's been a goal at Palmerston. Cammy Bell can tell us about it.
Yeah, and it's a goal for the visitors, and it was a fantastic goal down the right hand side. Stephen O'Donnell started to move 1-2 with Slattery, and he drove forward and he's absolutely smashed it from 20 yards into the top corner. So it's Queen of the South 1, Motherwell 2.
Motherwell coming from behind in that one, and it's going to be a free kick here to Dundee United, and Brian Graham's gone in the book for a foul on Freeman, and then he pointed at the referee as if to say, your card's marked.
I think he was a little bit upset with Freeman there, wasn't he? Freeman seemed to have a hold of his jersey for quite a substantial amount of time, and he got a little bit frustrated there. And I think he probably did deserve a yellow card. It was frustration more than anything else from the big striker. But United have got their tails up, certainly got momentum going early part of this second half.
Yeah, Doherty stabs a right-footed free kick into the box, but Freeman couldn't get on the end of it, and Thistle, Williams and Fitzpatrick between them just ushered that out for a goal kick. Partick Thistle.
Have they ever measured the slope here? You know how they say that they like to go down the slope in the second half. It does look as though it's a big slope from where we are.
Yeah,
but
the slope's down into this corner down here.
Is it? Yeah.
Long ball from the goal kick, and Thistle pick up the second ball. Here's Williamson, who's been lively, and he tries to get a cross in right in the byline. It's blocked, and it's actually come back off Williamson and out for a goal kick to Dundee United, who look to get on with things through Walton, who's prevented from doing so by Lawless, and he eventually goes short in the 6-yard box to Holt, gets it back to goalkeeper, dinks one into the left back area, and Fotheringham's dropped deep to pick one up in his own half, and he's done really well to turn away from Stanway, and he's driving into the Thistle half up to the edge of the left hand corner of the box. He's moved on to Moult, who's peeled out wide. He's coming on the right foot, shot straight in the throats of Mitchell, but good intent from Dundee United, and Mitchell's gone long here, and Brian Graham's in behind, and it's had to be a desperate recovering challenge from Holt, but then the referee has blown the whistle for a shirt pull, I think, from Denham, and the yellow card is out. And the young centre-back, again being caused all sorts of bother by Brian Graham. He's hauled him down, and it's a free kick, edge of the box.
This is when he doesn't handle it well. It's simple, it's straightforward. It's just a long ball or a high ball, and Denham doesn't get himself in the right position. Again, gets too close to Graham, and he's pulled the jersey. I mean, he's very fortunate because he's already had two free kicks given against him that I think could have been yellow cards. On that occasion there's no doubt that it's a professional foul. He's dragged him to the ground.
All he's thinking about is the wrestling. He's not even, he doesn't know where the ball is.
And it's Aaron Muirhead, the centre half, with the right foot. It could be Milne with the left foot. It's about 22 yards out, in line with the post. It's going to be Muirhead with the right foot, curls one, and Walton had to dive to his left hand side to beat that one behind for a corner. Some effort from Muirhead, but Walton does his job.
I tell you, Jim Bob would have been proud of that one.
Thistle corner, and it's going to be Lawless on the far side, sitting the Jim McLean stand. He's fizzed that in low. Graham's got a flick on. It's fallen for Milne at the back post. Saved Walton. Williamson battling with Fotheringham, and it's gone behind for a United goal kick. They survive, but two good chances there for Thistle. First of all, the free kick, and then the ball at the back post. I think it was Milne sliding in, and the keeper makes a good save.
It all comes from that silly free kick that was given away. The resultant corner and the pressure that comes from that as well. I mean, this game's about trying to put pressure on the opposition, not put pressure on yourselves. And I know he's just a young centre back, but you know, I think he needs to I don't know, maybe it's even worthwhile him and Holt maybe trying to swap to see if he could get away from Brian Graham.
I don't think it's that easy. I think Brian Graham will follow him around.
I think he would, yeah.
Up the left-hand touchline from Holt, but it's too high for Mikason. And it's out for a throw-in. It's a really good contest, this. Both teams looking to progress into the last 16, which takes place next month. 8 group winners, 3 best runners up join the 5 teams who have qualified for Europe: Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen, Hearts and Hibs, who have the luxury of starting their season slightly later. United throw in, left hand touchline. McMahon clutches the ball. He's in no rush to take this. Launches it back all the way to Holt at centre half, who's peeled right out to the far touchline. He's moved it across to Denham, who always receives the ball well, and he's pinged in a couple of great passes, but has looked really uncomfortable under the long ball. Brian Graham not giving him a moment's peace. Long ball headed by Thistle right back Mackenzie. It's on halfway. Fotheringham picks up the loose ball, but then he loses out to Williamson, who's just nipped in the Dundee United half. Moved out to the right hand side where Lawless is trying to get into the box. A lovely little dummy, then crosses in. It's deflected behind for a corner. Good work from the Partick Thistle winger. And the visitors just starting to turn the screw a little bit in the last few minutes. Still 1-1.
Yeah, they've been out of the game, haven't they, for most of this second half, but there's no doubt that it's beginning to turn a little bit now.
Lawless corner, left-footed, right into the 6-yard box. Walton comes, punches back out to Lawless. Right-hand side, left-footed cross, flicked on by Fitzpatrick, and it's turned in to the back of the net. It's Harry Milne who's got the final touch. Dundee United defending. They were standing still. It came back in from Lawless. It was glanced in and just dribbled really into the bottom corner. And we said Partick Thistle were starting to grow into the game, and they've struck. They lead Dundee United 2-1.
Was it Brian Graham that got the touch across the face of the goal? I think it was. And I think Harry Milne came in at the back post.
Yeah, Milne's touched it in.
There was quite a few players in there. I wasn't sure actually who got the final touch.
It's a good cross as well, isn't it?
It was really
you know, from the right hand side there, you know, by Lawless. The corner coming in, it's dealt with okay. I'm not sure if, I think it's a defender that's got the header rather than the punch, but goes right back out to Lawless, and he just curls in a really dangerous area. Defensively, difficult to defend again. Plenty of bodies in there. As you said, I think Graham got a little touch, and then Milne just sneaked in at the back post to get it over the line. You know, and they have come back into the game in the second half, but I just thought that United had the momentum, and it looked as though United were going to start dominating. Hasn't been the case.
Here's Fitzpatrick for Partick Thistle into the feet of Graham, who knocks it into towards the run of Williamson on the left hand side, but it was just too far. And Freeman, the right back, got back. Well, Harry Milne 2-2. He scored against Peterhead at the weekend. Not bad for the left back. He's where he needed to be, which was lurking at the back post. Got a faint touch to steer in Graham's flick on from Lawless's cross, and Partick Thistle are in front. And it's be interesting to see how the crowd here at Tannadice react now, because they've seen a lot of good stuff from their team, but again they're trailing.
It's a danger with set pieces, you know. If you don't get a decent clearance, then the pressure stays on, and when the pressure stays on, what happens is you get different movement from strikers who lose centre backs and find themselves in pockets of space.
United come right hand corner of the box. Malt plays it into Meekison, who's got a right footed cross right across goal, and it's almost turned in to his own net by Xander Mackenzie, the Thistle right back. In the end, it was a good intervention. I was almost just waiting for the net to bulge there.
Honestly, he was so lucky there. I mean, it was a great positioning. He got himself in a great position, tried to clear it, hit his studs, and it could easily have just gone into the corner of the net, but it's just gone past the post.
Good response, though. Good response from United, you know, taking it up to the other end and almost getting the equaliser.
Sybold corner for Dundee United. Can they get that equaliser? The bodies are all piled to the back post, and that's exactly where Sybold sends it. Holt gets a flick on, but it goes nowhere near the goal, out towards the corner taker. Sybold, who has the ball, thinks about the left-footed cross, moves it into Meekison, who touches away from Stanway, then puts a cross towards the back post. Really good defending from Graham, I think it is. Back doing his defensive duties, headed away because there was a United shirt lurking. Here they come, Fotheringham, left hand corner of the box. He's jinked in on the right foot, gets the shot away, but it's past the near post. Good positive play by the winger, but drags it off target. 2-1 Thistle.
Well, they've got to have a go now, United, haven't they? So, and that was good play there, coming in on the right hand side, just a little bit off target. Probably should have been across the other side of the goals.
Far corner, isn't it? I think you've got to aim for the far post on that occasion.
It's been a good game, Willie.
Been good, yeah. It's been high tempo, isn't it? You know, it's been played in a decent spirit as well. Nice and sharp passing. We've got 3 goals. We've had other chances as well, and quite a few substitutions being made now for the home side.
Yeah, Chris Mockery is going to come on, as is Ross Graham, the centre half. He's replaced Denham, who's obviously, as we've been discussing at length, not had the best evening, certainly out of possession, and Glenn Middleton is also on the park. He's going to go to the right hand side, and Ross Graham will go to centre back.
Mockery's on as well, I think.
Yeah, Mockery, who I thought, don't know what Willie thought, but I thought he showed something off the bench on Saturday when he came on.
He's got good ability, there's no doubt about that.
Cleared down the pitch by Milne, all the way to Holt, who just nods back to Walton, rolls it out to Ross Graham, who gets a first touch. He's got Docherty for company, gives him the ball. Thistle midfielder plays it through the lines, good pass to Moult, who's dropped deep, but his touch was heavy and it allowed Partick Thistle to just get in there. It's back in the the United defence. Here's Meekison, right hand side, looking to take on Bannigan. He's played it through the legs of Fitzpatrick, and Meekison's into the box. Right hand side, gets the cross in, but Williams read it at the near post, took a touch and cleared back down the field. But again, better intent from the United wingers, just taking on their man. Because Willie, on Saturday there was a lot of just coming in field and moving it on.
Yeah, I mean there was no responsibility taken at all in the wide areas. Cujo, I would take him out of that quote. I think he was quite direct.
And here come United following left hand side. Moult's looking to win the header, but Williams, the towering centre back, gets there first, nods it to the edge of the box, and Thistle get a free kick. Stephen Lawless just flopped over, felt a nudge in his back, and gets his team out of a fairly sticky situation. They can just eat up a few seconds and relieve some pressure. 19 minutes played in this second half, and it's Dundee United 1, Partick Thistle 2.
No, they're still showing plenty of intent. United, they haven't went into the shell, and Jim Goodwin making the changes as well. We'll be hoping that the fresh energy that's brought on can turn this game round for them, particularly in the wide areas. They seem very direct, and that just wasn't happening this Saturday. There wasn't any directness at all. No taking on of full-backs, but that hasn't been the case tonight, and certainly in the second half they've been very positive, United, but they find themselves 2-1 down.
James Lyon is on for Partick Thistle. He made a handful of appearances as a sub last season. He's come from the academy, the midfielder. He's on, and Ben Williamson has gone off, who I think has had a pretty impressive debut, set up the first goal. But here come United, ball in behind, looking for the pace of Glenn Middleton, but Muirhead does really well, the centre half, to just get across in front of Middleton and puts it out for a throw-in. Middleton has the ball, looks to get on with things as United chase an equaliser in the last 25 minutes here at Tannadice, out for another throw-in. Freeman looks for options. Moult, who comes across, takes it on the chest, back to Meekison, who's got spaced across with the left foot from the right hand side. He's looking for following him at the back post, but it evades the winger and goes behind for a Partick Thistle goal kick. Thistle still leading 2-1.
Just overhit that. I think what you want to do is just hit the centre of the goal, don't you, and allow
or just aim for the back post. That was always what I felt in those situations.
Did you? Yeah.
Throw it in,
beyond.
Aim for the back post.
Yeah.
And if the worst thing happens, if it creeps inside and you score. Not that I ever
did
it, Willie.
I thought you were going to say that's why you did that, because you knew I would get the near post. But no, I always think that, see, if you just put it into a dangerous area, I don't even think, what I'm trying to say, Craig, is you don't actually have to pick anybody out. I don't think. You just put it into a dangerous area.
United free kick for a foul on Ross Docherty. Chris Doolan will be happy with the response from his side. They've been pretty good in this game. United haven't been bad either, certainly not compared to Saturday. Got themselves in front, but you can hear the crowd in the background just getting a bit restless, wanting things to be done quickly as United go in search of an equaliser. And here's Meekison midway through the Thistle half, right hand side. He's got Freeman on the touchline, gives the ball to him in field to Middleton, who gives it back to Freeman, who touches towards the box, but Harry Milne, it's Stanway actually, gets across and makes a good tackle. It's out for a throw-in on this near side. 2-1 Thistle. Freeman with a throw-in for United. Meekison is coming short. Middleton's there. Moult's there. It's Moult who gets it, gives it back to Freeman. Right on this near side, right hand touch line for United. Mikason back to Docherty, takes a touch, infield again, looks for Middleton, but it's a poor pass and it's picked off easily by Stanway, the Thistle midfielder, and United are forced all the way back to Kevin Holt at centre back, who puts a nice pass into the middle, pitch Middleton, but Bannigan watched it all the way, and now here come Thistle on the break. Fitzpatrick looking for support, he's surging up to the box, he's taking on Graham, gets a left-footed shot away, and that was heading for the bottom corner, but Jack Walton beats it away. Corner Thistle, they lead 2-1. Good chance.
Yeah, take it on, I think. Yeah, Fitzpatrick there. I mean, it's a really positive run. It's onto his left foot. He sees a little pocket of space. It's a good save as well because it's low. You know, it's testing the goalkeeper. And it's on the break, isn't it? And that's
well, as long as United need a goal, Willie, they're going to have to push forward and risk things.
Corner, Fitzpatrick to the back post. Walton comes, gets a really good punch on that, the goalkeeper. He's been pretty solid this evening so far. And it goes out towards the far side, and that's a really nice touch. Line, I think, on the far side. He's been pursued by McMahon, and McMahon gets the throw in off the Thistle player. Good defending from the left back. Thistle leading 2-1. 23 minutes played in this second half at Tannadice in the League Cup Group B match. And as I mentioned earlier, if United lose this, which they're on track to do at the moment, their hopes of reaching the last 16 are all but over, you'd have to say, unless they go on to win the group with 6 points, which seems exceedingly unlikely, very unlikely to go through as one of the best runners up. Their hopes hanging by a thread at the moment. Out to Fitzpatrick, Thistle come forward. Out on the left wing, that's a really good pass in field, and it was Lyon who latched onto it, but it was a heavy touch. United recover possession, and now Docherty gets them on the front foot out to Fotheringham. He's taking on the makeshift right back Mackenzie. Midway through the Thistle half, up to the edge of the box, looks to try and go infield into the box, but then Bannigan gets back to help out Mackenzie, who wins the ball. Fotheringham is a crumpled heap on the deck, and Thistle come away with the ball.
Yeah, you want your winger to get something from that situation. Well, once you realise that there's 2 against 1, you might try and play the ball off somebody to get a throw in or to allow your team to get up the field. Just a lack of experience here.
Williams, Thistle centre back, out to Milne, the left back, and scorer of Thistle's second goal. That's a really good give and go. Thistle, Milne gets it back, but again it's foot in from United. It goes back to Lyon, a young midfielder who's just come off the bench. He's dinked that forward into the channel, which Ross Graham goes back to Walton, who puts his foot through it up to halfway. Moult tries to win the header, and Williams puts it out for a throw in. And there's been another goal at Ibrox in that Alan McGregor testimonial. Kerry Dinedsan can tell us about it.
A goal for Sam Lammer as Rangers' new striker, new signing, getting up and running. Bit of a disaster for the Newcastle defence. Newcastle, incidentally, I think they've changed the entire team, and the sub-goalie Darlow didn't do his defence any favours. A flat pass and in
cross into the box,
and
Moult had a chance, but Mitchell came across and snuffed it out. Good chance there for United. Sorry, Kerridine, continue. And the goalkeeper Mitchell is down injured now. Kerridine was telling us about goings on at Ibrox.
Yes, just saying, Sam Lammer's first goal since signing for the club. Bit of a nightmare for the Newcastle defence. They've pretty much changed the entire team, including the goalkeeper. Darlow's on. Terrible pass to his fellow defender, and in-nipped Lammer's nipped it underneath the goalkeeper. 65 minutes played. Rangers 1, Newcastle United 1.
Thanks, Kerridine. And there's been another goal at Palmerston as well. Motherwell were leading 2-1 last we heard. What's the latest, Cammy Bell?
Yeah, and it's an equaliser for the home side. It was a good ball in from the right hand side from McKechnie again. The Motherwell defence got themselves in all sorts of bother, cut underneath the ball, and there was Gavin Riley to smash home from 6 yards. So it's Motherwell, Queen of the South 2, Motherwell 2.
Good performance from Queen of the South, it sounds like, at Palmerston here at Tannadice. Thistle leading 2-1. Their goalkeeper David Mitchell, who came out to smother that cross, which was intended for Louis Moult, making his United debut off the bench, and he's taken a sore one. He's down, sitting in the goal mouth, just taking a drink of water. The physio's on, speaking to him. But I suppose United are going to have to throw caution to the wind here, Craig.
Yep, I'll just have a look at what else can they do, really. I mean, they've got Rory McLeod. He's the young striker. He's 17, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
A big ask for him to rescue the situation, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But they're going to be relying on a lot of these guys this season, these young players, which it's good for them to get game time, of course, but it's a big pressure season for them. And there's been another goal at Palmerston. Cammy Bell.
Yeah, what a response from Motherwell. Goes straight up the pitch, and it's Paul McGinn down the right hand side, does brilliant, drives inside, and there it is, that man again, Blair Spittle, arriving 7 yards out and fires it past the goalkeeper. So it's Queen of the South 2, Motherwell 3.
And here at Tannadice, David Mitchell is back up, he's okay, and he's just taken a goal kick long up to the centre circle. And Stephen Lawless has won a free kick in a... In fact, it's offside, yeah, the flag's gone up on the far side. So it's a United free kick, just the edge of the centre circle in their own half. But yeah, you were saying, Craig, you know, they don't have a lot of options to come off that you would hang your hat on, so to speak.
No, I think Moult has made a difference since he's come on. I mean, his movement's really good. They probably just haven't got enough balls in the box for him. That would be my criticism.
Well, here's a chance now, and it does go into the box, right to the back stick. And there's Middleton out right out the other side of the box. He's going to put it back in with the left foot right into the 6-yard box. McKenzie heads away, only as far as Docherty gets the right-footed shot in, blocked. And it's trundled out for Holt, who turns back, looks to maybe deliver with the left foot. He's put a pass along the ground. That's really poor, intercepted, but again it comes forward for United, and Muirhead clears for Thistle right up to halfway. And just a few anxious fans in the Jim McLean stand just trying to get a bit frustrated at Dundee United.
United are wide open here. You know, if they do give the ball away as they just did there, they were lucky in that situation not to get counter-attacked.
28 minutes played in this second half at Tannadice. Dundee United 1, Partick Thistle 2, and that's a really loose pass round the corner which just trundled out in front of Glenn Middleton, who, as I mentioned at the start of the evening, scored that wonderful goal against AZ Alkmaar here nearly a year ago. And well, it's safe to say things have taken a turn since then for Dundee United, as Holt hooks it back to Jack Walton. But Willie, there's certainly been, especially from the likes of Mikkelsen and Fotheringham, they're at least running and taking on and getting crosses into the box, because they weren't really doing that on Saturday.
No, definitely not. It's been a much better performance tonight from United, but you know, I don't know if the fans will understand that if the scoreline stays at 2-1.
Especially with Thistle coming up here. Fitzpatrick with a cross into the back post, and that was so close to Stephen Lawless's outstretched right boot. Left hand corner of the box, floated it right across, and Lawless wasn't far away from turning that into the bottom corner. Thistle still lead United by 2-1.
Yeah, it was a good run and ball across. It just couldn't quite stretch, could he, to
He's
get
a small man.
Lawless.
His legs weren't long enough.
I'll tell you one thing that's interesting. Ross Graham's come on and dealt with Brian Graham really well, just because he's played maybe 40 or 50 first team matches, and his physicality is it's much stronger. He's a chance.
Here's Fotheringham edge of the box, right foot flashed over the bar, and he's shaking his head furiously at that one, because he did all the, I'll say hard work. It was still a hard finish from the edge of the box, but he did so well to open up such space, but the finish was lacking.
Just get it in target, test the goalkeeper, isn't it? You know, either side of him. You know, to put it over the bar, it's just after such a good run coming from the left-hand side, just to maybe 20 yards out there, and it's just a controlled strike that he needs, and he doesn't do it, and he just puts it over the bar.
Final 15 minutes of this match, live on Sportsound on BBC Radio Scotland. Dundee United trailing Partick Thistle by 2-1, and as I mentioned, if they lose this game, and there is still 15 minutes plus stoppage time to salvage it, and they're giving a good fist of it, but if they lose this game, their hopes for progressing from this group are slim, to say the least. They do have possession in the Thistle half, but it's a loose one, and Lawless intercepts. Docherty gave it away, back to Bannigan. Williams, left-footed, long ball. Docherty wins the header on halfway, up towards Middleton. Again, it's well won by Milne, who's just too strong for Middleton, who was looking for the free kick, doesn't get it. Here's Lyon for Thistle in the United half, out on the left-hand side. Now with Fitzpatrick, who's hugging the left-hand touchline. Milne is outside him. There's a run inside from Lyon, who's screaming for it. Fitzpatrick not in a hurry, and then he does find the passive line. He was standing there, and United didn't close off the passing lane, gets to the byline, and Ross Graham comes across and just says, calm down lads, and shepherds that out for a goal kick to United. And there's going to be another change. It's going to be Partick Thistle who make it, and it's going to be Brian Graham to make way, and he's being roundly booed by the home support as the Thistle fans rise in the stand behind the shed end and applaud their captain, who got their equaliser tonight, as he goes to hand off the captain's armband to Aaron Muirhead, and Anton Dowd is going to come on the pitch.
Yeah, he's done well. He's led the line extremely well. Brian Graham, hasn't he? He scored that goal, a wonderful goal. Missed a chance, as well. But I think generally he's been a real handful, particularly for Denham. I think since the substitution has been made, it's been more difficult for him, and he's found it harder to deal with Ross Graham. So I'm not surprised at that. Some fresh legs up top as well. And I think you need that, particularly with United having to throw things forward. Then Dow's come on and gives you maybe that energy and that pace to hit the break.
Well, the fans are absolutely furious. They feel Scott McMahon was held back there as he surged into the Thistle half, and he was, I think. And
I think the linesman maybe got involved there, but I don't think the referee saw it.
Yeah, the referee didn't blow his whistle straight away, hence the fury in the stands. But it has been given, and I'm not sure if that was Stephen Lawless who went in the book there. He had a word with the referee anyway.
I think it was for words. Yes.
Yeah. And United with a free kick midway through the Thistle half. It's maybe 15 yards in from the left-hand touchline, and Mikason is over it. He's going to deliver with a right foot. Thistle holding a high line outside the box. It is Mikason with the left foot. It's towards Molt. It's not dealt with by Thistle. Molt's still there, and eventually there's a pink and grey shirt gets in the way and gets a foot in, and it's all the way back to Mochrie, who gives it back to Freeman, who goes for the right-footed switch of play to the left, which has proved fruitful for United. And here's Fotheringham, who's been lively, and he's drive past his man into the box, and eventually it hits off Mackenzie and goes behind for a corner kick to United. And the fans are just trying to roar them on, will them on to an equaliser. But better from Fotheringham, Craig. He's taking on the fullback.
Yeah, I mean, wingers really need confidence, don't they? And it looks like he's starting to believe a little bit more. He's been quite direct.
Corner comes in, right foot into the near post. David Mitchell gets a good two-handed punch on it up to the edge of the box. Here's Docherty, the United captain, and is he tripped there by Fitzpatrick? Yes, the free kick is given. Fitzpatrick was wagging his finger at the referee saying I didn't touch him, but Docherty went down.
Football players don't always tell the truth, you know that.
Just want to believe the best in people, Craig. And it's a really good position for Dundee United. In fact, it's about 20
who'll hit this
24 yards out.
I'm not too sure who's over. Is that Molt that's over it? See, fancy it.
Mikason's there, Holt's there with a left foot, Middleton's there.
Middleton would be a possibility. He likes a pop from that kind of a distance.
Yeah, well, it was Molt. In fact, he walked away, and it's going to be Glenn Middleton by the look of it, because Kevin Holt's retreated back towards his natural habitat of centre half. He can strike them with a left foot, but it's going to be Glenn Middleton standing in the Cristiano Ronaldo stance almost, left-footed strike! And that has, I don't know if that clipped the outside of the post or the stanchion, but it was not far away from
it caught the pole
bottom corner.
Yeah, he got the pole that was supporting
it's hit
net.
the back.
But I'll tell you what, I mean, if it's on target, the keeper's no chance.
No chance. Yeah.
I mean, he caught that so well.
Yeah.
We're at the wrong place, Willie.
There's been yet another goal at Palmerston. Cammy Bell.
Yeah, and it's an equaliser for Queen of the South. It was a penalty kick. Craig Napier pointed to the spot after Blair Spittle was adjudged to a foul. Lee Connolly, Gavin Riley stepped up, sent the goalkeeper the wrong way, and we've now got Queen of the South free, Motherwell free.
Cracker at Palmerston. Motherwell pegged back again by Marvin Bartley's Queen of the South. Here at Tannadice United, searching for the equaliser, which would at least preserve our, at the moment, slim hopes of reaching the last 16, even after only 2 games. Still got Peterhead and Falkirk to come, but with just 6 points to play for, it would make it extremely difficult. Here's Holt, offloads to Ross Graham, the substitute centre half. Again, that switch of play, and again Fotheringham is with acres of space, but Graham just had it a bit too high, and it sails out for a throw into Partick Thistle, who lead 2-1.
Yeah, it'll be testing times, won't it, at Tannadice, if they don't manage to get something out of this game. There isn't a huge crowd in tonight, but still there'll be a lot of pressure. And as Craig pointed out, the director's box is nowhere near the fans up there, so at least they won't be getting pelters from the home support. But at the same time,
they might get pelters, but
not
in the vicinity.
Well, this is Jim Goodwin's 14th competitive match in charge of United. He's only won 3. So, as much as it's a fresh start this season, the pressure is on, especially at a club like United. Here's Middleton. Mikason looks to thread it through to Freeman, but Fitzpatrick just stood in the way and intercepted it, and then Mikason has a hack at him as Fitzpatrick runs up the pitch, and he'll be the latest player to go in the referee's book, and there are absolutely no complaints about that one.
No, definitely not. You know, it was from behind. They had lost control of the ball. It was through frustration, and I can understand why he feels frustrated, and it had to be a yellow card. You know, but as time ticks on, the pressure comes on more and more for United to find something special, and you know, so far wide players have done well, I think, in attacking from wide areas, but still that central area, it's not looked hot enough tonight, particularly at home, to please the home fans, I would suggest.
Yeah, and these are the normal tactics here, Willie, for when you're leading late in a game. Now, I'm not saying he hasn't got cramp, right?
No.
But you know, there's a question mark.
Yeah, it breaks it up though, doesn't it? It makes it more difficult for the home side. Yeah. They're trying to get a bit of momentum. They can't get that momentum.
Yeah, Jim Goodwin was just applauding his players, trying to get them up for these final 7 minutes or so, plus stoppage time, of course. We had an injury to David Mitchell, and now Fitzpatrick's down with cramp. But talking about Jim Goodwin's record, Chris Doolan's record's not bad in management. This is his 21st competitive game of charge. He won 11 of the 20 before that, only lost 2 of them. One of them was that utterly devastating defeat in the end to Ross County, but he's had an impact, a big impact at Thistle. A more challenging job this season with a smaller budget and a bit of a squad overhaul to perform, but this would be a really good win for them, and they've played well tonight despite going behind. And Fitzpatrick has got one sock down and just taking a shin pad in his right hand as he wanders off the pitch. He's not in any hurry, and he's going to be withdrawn naturally, and Jai Stevenson, the young academy player, is going to come on to the pitch for just his second first team appearance. He's a striker. He'll join the attack by the looks of it, and Fitzpatrick wanders off, and on we go. Mitchell with a free kick, pings it right up to the corner of the United box, right hand side, dealt with by Dundee United, and goes out for a throw in on the far side. McMahon has it, tries to inject some urgency, finds Docherty, pings it into the United box where Graham was waiting, controls out to Freeman at right back, up the line to Middleton, who's got 2 men on him immediately, including Stevenson, forced to go back to Freeman. It goes to Graham. United building from the back, but they need a goal. Up to Moult, who drops deep, first time pass off to Docherty, halfway line Mockery into Moult, first time pass back to Graham. Mockery slips as he looked to get into position to receive a pass. He's dropping deep to the midfielder. He's got it again here in the centre circle. He's looking for options and has to just give it off to Graham, the centre half. Out to the right hand side where Middleton is on the touchline. Looks to drive at Milne, but comes back in on the left foot cross, which was fairly low and flat and didn't bother Partick Thistle in the slightest, and Xander McKenzie just let it go behind for a goal kick. Thistle leading 2-1 as we go into the final 5 minutes of the 90 here at Tannadice.
I would say that one of Louis Moult's strengths is heading, and I mean, United just haven't put enough balls in the box for me in this second half, particularly in his area. So yeah, it's sort of fizzling out. I don't know if there's anything that Jim could do to change things, but it just looks like that maybe Thistle have got the upper hand at this time in the match.
I think so. It seems to be that he's got wide players on, and he wants them to come inside. Right footed on the left side and left on the right, and that doesn't lend itself for crosses into the box, does it? It lends itself for shots and target, and so far they haven't had enough of them. So it is frustrating. You can hear it in the background. I think the fans will be getting a little bit restless out there, and Jim Goodwin will be hoping that they can find something, but where it's going to come from, I think that's the question.
Yeah.
Jim Goodwin down on the touchline in front of us, having a few words with his assistant Lee Sharp, but Thistle are kind of expertly just taking a sting out of this game. They're buying fouls, they're taking their time over free kicks. It's good game management from Chris Doolan's side as Mitchell pings the free kick up to the left hand corner of the box, flicked back They retain possession. Stanway out to Lyon. He tries to keep it in, but the flag's up. United throw in. As Matthew McDermott signals. And United, Freeman chasing after the ball, looking to get on with this. Only 3 minutes left of the 90. And United trailing 2-1 and on course to lose their opening 2 games in the League Cup group stage, which they don't have a great record in. It has to be said. Failed to make it through in 2018, 2019. And there seems to be a lot of big clubs that struggle to get up to speed in time to make a dent. And there's been yet more incident at Palmerston. Cammy Bell.
Yeah, there's been a red card and it's for Motherwell. It's Ricky Lammy's been sent off for a second yellow card. He got his first for dissent and then the second one was for a foul. So Motherwell need to play the final minutes with 10 minutes still. Queen of the South free, Motherwell free.
Sounds like Cammy's been treated to a cracker at Palmerston. It's been pretty good here as well. Thistle leading by 2-1. United with a ball. Here's Fotheringham dropping deep. Left-hand touchline, moves on to Moult. Back to McMahon. Across the pitch to Graham. Up to just about the halfway line. Out with the right foot to Middleton on the right-hand touchline. Looking for the underlapping run of Freeman. But the left-back, Harry Milne, in fact, it was the covering James Lyon who got in and made sure that Freeman didn't get on the end of that. And United get on with the throw-in. Back to Holt. Middle of the pitch. Pass through the line to Mockery. Left-footed strike. Saved. Low to his left-hand side. David Mitchell. It was struck well enough, but not enough, not close enough to the corner, really, to trouble David Mitchell.
It was a good strike, though, wasn't it? I mean, a decent power on it. Mockery it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Took it in, left foot, low. Not an easy one to deal with, but you know, Mitchell on top of it. He held it well too, so good goalkeeping. But yeah, it has to be either side of him to really test him.
I think he might have slipped Fotheringham in as well, just in the inside the centre back. But I mean, he's chosen to have a shot. It's on target. So,
well, there's a lot of frustration as United get held up taking this throw in. Freeman with it in his own half, up the right hand touchline towards Moult. It falls for Wasiri Williams, the Thistle centre half, who just says, "Here you go," puts it right on the United defence. This time they deal with it and go back up to Muirhead, the Thistle centre half. He'll just knock that back to Mitchell, the goalkeeper, who puts the right foot through the ball up towards Jai Stevenson. It goes straight out, in fact, for a United throw-in, and it's into the final minute of the 90 here at Tannadice. United trailing Partick Thistle by 2-1. Fans getting increasingly frustrated as United try and avoid back-to-back defeats to start the season. Lawless loses out to Mockery. McMahon comes in field, then puts it out to Fotheringham on the left-hand side, drives at McKenzie, left-hand corner of the box, infield to McMahon, who just puts a nothing pass up in the air, which allows Thistle to clear. Out to the right-hand side, United have it again. Here's Meekison. Takes on the man, and there's Middleton with a header onto the roof of the net. Unmarked, really, at the near post. He jumped well. Couldn't find the top corner.
It was a good ball in by Meekison, and I mean, I thought when we were right behind it, I thought it was just going to drop underneath the. There wasn't an awful lot of pace on the cross, so Middleton had to generate whatever power he could, and it looked from here as if it was just going to drop underneath the bar, but unfortunately for United, it didn't.
Goal kick.
6 minutes we've got.
Is that right? 6 minutes for United to salvage this game, certainly get an equaliser and then try and get themselves 2 points and with a shootout win. But it's Thistle who come forward. Lawless, he's played Downs in behind. Is the flag up? It's not. Downs lifts it over Walton, but the flag does go up. Fantastic finish from the substitute, who's furiously gesticulating at the referee. My first instinct was he was offside, as United get on with it.
It was a very good finish, though, wasn't it?
It was a good finish, yeah.
It was brilliant. He was so frustrated, Dowd, so much so that he's going to get himself a yellow card.
Yeah, he just hacked down.
I've been quite impressed with Fotheringham tonight. I mean, every time he gets the ball, he looks to try and create something, which is positive.
Yeah, he's definitely injected pace and a bit of impetus, because sometimes when you look around the United team, you think they do lack pace, but he has been lively, but there's no breakthrough for United in terms of finding this equaliser. They did lead in the first half through Sibbald, but Goals from Brian Graham in the first half, and then Harry Milne in this second half. Thistle in front. Mikason up the right hand side. First time into Freeman, who just gives it straight to Stanway. And Docherty's done well for United to win that back in midfield, and then it goes out to the left hand side where McManus comes in field. Back to Fotheringham, who's come in the pitch, trying to take on the Thistle defence. Out to the left-hand side, cross, blocked.
Handball, I think, yeah.
Just a bit. Lawless's arms were up by his shoulders, and it hits off one of them, blocks the cross, and United will have a free kick right on the left-hand side of the box, and a chance to put a dangerous delivery in.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes with this one. If he goes for the strike goal, it's a rather tight angle, or the little dink cross. Looks as though he's winding up for it.
Shoot here, you think?
Yeah, looks as though he is.
Yeah, it's Mikason. Archie Mikason. He's going to hit this with the right foot. Is he going to cross it? He does cross it to the near post. It's flicked on by Bannigan, and that could have gone anywhere, but fortunately for Partick Thistle, it's gone all the way out for a throw-in on the far side. And United try and take this throw-in quickly. Middleton's asking Freeman to come across and take the throw in. United looking for some urgency, but Mikason loses the battle, and then it trundles behind for a goal kick. And there's been a goal at Ibrox. Kiradine-Tsan.
It's the 8,000 strong Toonami who are celebrating. A couple of minutes to go here. They have the lead once again. Harrison Ashby, a lovely wee lofted header after good work from Alexander Isak. But if I tell you that every single player who started this match has been substituted, you'll get the notion that this is indeed the testimonial for Alan McGregor. So we'll not read too much into it. Been decent fare here. Rangers 1, Newcastle 2, a minute to go.
Harrison Ashby, Scotland under-21 international, scoring the goal for Newcastle there. And United, well, for them time running out, I make it 3, almost 4 minutes of the 6 added played, and it's Partick Thistle who have the ball in the United half, and Milne is just drying the ball on his jersey, not in any rush to take this. Does take it up the line towards Dowds, hooked away but not very far by Freeman, only as far as Milne, who sends it back towards the United box. Mockery's header. Bannigan picks up, but his touch is heavy. Lawless plays it back to Muirhead, who just puts a foot through it, looking for Dowds. Freeman lets it bounce and run out for a throw-in. United needs a moment of magic. They need someone to produce something. There's no doubt they've been much better than they were against Spartans at the weekend, but as it stands, with just a couple to play of stoppage time, they're heading for another defeat and what looks likely to be an early exit from the League Cup, which will pile the pressure on Jim Goodwin and the players before the league season next month has even begun. Out for a throw-in in this near side to Partick Thistle, and they'll be in no rush to take this, winning 2-1.
No, and why should they? They've worked hard. They've got themselves in the lead as well, and although United have done much better than they did on Saturday, I don't really think it could have been much worse, to be perfectly honest, on Saturday with that result. And if this run goes against them, then it's such a dreadful start to the season, the first 2 games for the new manager, and even his record at United has been poor generally, but to start the season like this, when it was a season of optimism and the fans getting behind them and buying the 5,000 season tickets, it's a huge blow if it stays this way.
Final minute of stoppage time. United with the ball just inside the Thistle half. It's McMahon who's come in field from left back, moves it out to the wing where Fotheringham is, drives at McKenzie, and he's gone past him again. He's got the left-footed cross in, but it's right to David Mitchell at the near post, and he just dives on the ball and says thank you very much, as do the Partick Thistle fans in the shed end to applaud.
Yeah, I feel that may be the last opportunity for Dundee United.
Yeah, 10 seconds left. I make it of the 6 added. We'll see what Matthew McDermott makes of it. The referee's just checked his watch. Graham wins the header in his own half for United, and there is the full-time whistle. Huge cheers from the Thistle fans. They've witnessed a good comeback from their team, a good victory. Boos for the 2nd game in a row for Dundee United. No doubt they were much improved from that abysmal performance against Spartans at the weekend. They took the lead when Williams, the Partick Thistle centre-back, gave the ball away. Glass teed up Sybil to give them the lead, and you have to say at that point it was deserved in the first half, 18 minutes gone. But Thistle just came back into the game. Brian Graham missed a sitter, then took a more difficult chance to bring them level before the break. And then after the break, a lawless cross was glanced on by Brian Graham, and Harry Milne was there to touch in on 58 minutes to put Partick Thistle in front. And United certainly had more intent about them, certainly in wide areas. Moult looked busy up front, but they just didn't fashion enough chances. Middleton had a header, there was a Mockery shot, a few others, but just not enough cutting edge that Jim Goodwin was looking for. And it very much looks as if they're not going to be progressing into the last 16 of the League Cup. Partick Thistle go down and applaud their fans at the Shed Inn. It's been a fantastic night for them, and perhaps an early psychological blow in the championship season as well. They applaud their supporters. They emerge victorious. It's finished here at Tannadice. Dundee United 1, Partick Thistle 2.
The Scottish League Cup.
This is the chance they've been waiting for. Cross court, come must be it.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Yes, here at Tannadice, all 3 points go to Partick Thistle then in this one. That moves them to the top of Group B. Dundee United are the foots of that table. No points from 2 games. Will bring you plenty more reaction from this one as we stay on air until we hear from both managers, and of course we'll get the thoughts of Craig Levine and Willie Miller as well, who were part of that commentary team here this evening watching Partick Thistle beat Dundee United by 2-1. Plenty of other cup ties this evening too. The game between Queen of the South and Motherwell has gone to penalties. It finished 3-3. They're still playing penalties. We will go over to Camibell once that one is done and dusted. There was plenty happening in that one too, but let me just bring you up to date with the other cup scores from this evening. In Group A, it finished Alloa Athletic 1, Stirling Albion 2. Ayr United beat Stenhousemuir by 1-0. We know that Dundee United lost here to Partick Thistle by 2-1. Spartans also losing this evening despite their heroics last Saturday. They lost 2-1 at home to Falkirk. Into Group C, and Cove Rangers, a fine win for them against Clyde. 5-2 the final score to Cove Rangers in that one. And Hamilton Accies beating Brecon City by 1-0 also in Group C. In Group D, a good win for Greenock Morton against Stranraer. 3-0 was the final score in that one. In Group E, a defeat for Bonnie Rig Rose. 1-0 they lost to Dundee at home, so Dundee winning away by 1-0 in that one. And Dumbarton 2, Inverness Cally Thistle 1, full time in that one. That is a bit of a giant killing for League 2 side Dumbarton, winning 2-0 against Championship side Inverness Cally Thistle. In Group F, it finished Dunfermline 4 and an Athletic 0. Good win for newly promoted Dunfermline. Wraith Rovers winning against Albion Rovers by 2-0. And in Group G, East 5-3, Elgin City 1. And into Group H, Montrose 1, Forfar Athletic 2. Of course, as I say, Queen of the South against Motherwell is gone to penalties in that one. Just one game going to penalties this evening. In fact, I'm just being told that game has finished. So, Camibell, hot off the press, who's got that bonus point?
Yeah, so Jane, the game ended up 3 each, and Motherwell won 5-4 on penalties. I'll just take you through a quick report. The game started off absolutely flying. We got a great goal from Kieran McKenna, who struck home from 25 yards in off the post, giving Oxford absolutely no chance in the Motherwell goal. Motherwell got up to speed and scored on 42 minutes. It was great play from Slattery down the right hand side, cut the ball back. Blair Spittle was there to smash home. Motherwell started the second half really strongly, had a number of opportunities. The Queen of the South goalkeeper had some great saves to keep themselves in it, and then they found the breakthrough on 58 minutes, where O'Donnell and Slattery had some great play down the right hand side, and Slattery struck home from 20 yards right in the top corner. Queen of the South goalkeeper absolutely no chance. Queens responded well once again. The ball out wide to Kieran McKechnie, whipped the ball in. The Motherwell defending was a little bit poor, but Gavin Riley found his still in space and finished from 10 yards to fire past the goalkeeper. An immediate response from Motherwell when Paul McGinn drove down the right hand side, cut inside, cut the ball back, and Blair Spittle was there to find his second of the game. Craig Napier then on 88 minutes adjudged Blair Spittle to have fouled Lee Connolly. Gavin Riley stepped up, dispatched into the top corner, but that was in it. 88 minutes. Lammy got sent off, second yellow card. First was for dissent, and then the second one was for a foul. Game goes to penalties. Everyone scored apart from the great Kieran McKechnie, who was fantastic tonight. Feel really sorry for him, but it ended up Motherwell 3, Queen of the South 3, and Motherwell take the bonus point tonight.
Cammy Bell, thank you very much indeed. That certainly sounded like a lively old cup tie, didn't it? Motherwell getting the bonus point there, as Cammy Bell says, after finishing 3 each after 90 minutes. And then, of course, it goes to penalties, thanks to the unique way in the way that this competition is run. We'll bring you the updated tables later on in the programme once that they are all finalised this evening. But there is a bit of a glamour tie taking place in Govan in Glasgow. It's Alan McGregor's testimonial, of course. Rangers taking on English Premier League side Newcastle United, and Kerry Dinitsan has been watching that one.
Well, right now, Jane, I can tell you that the main man, Alan McGregor, is taking a lap of honour in front of a packed Ibrox. Some of the 8,000 Toon Army travelling supporters have left, but hardly any of the home fans have, because this is what they came for, to pay tribute and say thank you to Alan McGregor. Over 500 games for the club, and he is milking this applause just now as he goes round to the Copland stand to take their acclaim. The match finished 2-1 to Newcastle. This was a useful run out for both sides in a testimonial match that very much it felt like it, but the atmosphere made it at times more like a big European night with those 8,000 noisy Geordies who went away happy, as I say, after their side running out 2-1 winners. Eddie Howe, their manager, of course, could in a different universe have been managing across the other side of the city had he accepted Celtic's offer a couple of years back. He's now steered Newcastle into the Champions League, and they looked at that level certainly in the opening spell of this match, controlled by their new midfield signing from AC Milan, Italian international Sandro Tonali. He helped set up Miguel Almiron for a nice opener after a quarter of an hour, finishing nicely past McGregor, who was then subbed to the kind of ovation that he's getting right now. That was it late in the first half. Multiple changes at the break for either side disrupted things a bit. Rangers equalised 20 minutes into the second half through Sam Lammer. Some nightmare defending for Newcastle. It was basically a gift for him, but late on Alexander Isak set up the Scotland under-21 international Harrison Ashby, who lofted a nice header over the Rangers' new number one goalkeeper Jack Butland to give Newcastle the 2-1 win. But if I tell you that not a single player who started the match finished it, both teams substituting their entire lineups, you'll get the idea of this pre-season friendly and testimonial. But the fans have enjoyed it. I think Alan McGregor's enjoyed it, and he's only halfway round his lap of honour just now. Finished here. Rangers 1, Newcastle United 2.
Kerridine, thank you very much indeed. I should say earlier this evening as well, there was a win for Scotland's women's out there in Finland. They won by 2-1 in what was a friendly match. Caroline Weir and Emma Watson scoring for Scotland's women's national side. Right, let's get some reaction to this cup tie here at Tannadice, shall we? Another defeat for Dundee United. Partick Thistle winning this one by 2-1. Craig Levine, Partick Thistle, were they worthy winners, do you think, over the 90 minutes?
I think it was a really tight game, in all honesty. It could have gone either way. I think that Partick had a little bit more nous than United had, and part of that was United had so many younger players on the pitch. But I mean, the performance, if you want to separate the two, I know that's a thing that's done quite often these days, Willie, isn't it? You know, separate the performance from the result. But comparing it to what I hear of last week's performance, then this has been an awful lot better. And so Jim can take some solace from that, and so can his players. I thought they looked lively. There were some, they've signed Louis Moult. I thought they competed really well. And those are the things that in the Championship you need to do first and foremost before you do anything else. You need to be competitive. And I'm sure that Jim will come on in his interview and mention that the fact that they were in the game, they worked really hard, they competed, and I think those things were evident.
Yeah, we'll hear from both managers, and Willie, as Craig says there, no doubt Jim will point to the fact that it was a better performance. Will that be enough, though, to alleviate some of this early pressure and appease the fans, do you think?
No.
Simple as that, no.
No, what are we doing? Are we asking the fans to sit down and be sensible and listen to the manager, give his assessment of the performance while they've been beaten at home? I mean, this is in the back of going down to Spartans and now going down to Partick Thistle. So I don't really think that the fans are going to be content with that. I think they're going to be particularly angry, and there's a lot of work ahead for Jim. But as Craig says, I think the performance was okay. I don't think that we can look at that performance and say it lacked energy. I think it maybe lacked a bit of creativity and quality from them. But we still are talking about two championship sides here as well. I thought he can come out. I think he can come out, and I think he can put forward positive vibes to the fans. But I don't think that's going to appease the fans. The only thing that's going to appease them is performances, but more importantly, results. I think Partick. I think it was an even game. Like Craig says, it was a good game. It was full of energy. It was competitive. There was some decent football played at times. We got 3 goals as well. But I don't think that Jim can come out and say that they should have won the game.
No, I agree with you. I do. I think that there was a very even match. Yeah, and I couldn't say for a second that Thistle didn't deserve to win. But it was tight, and as I say, it'll take some solace in the fact that the energy was high. There was some good play. They had 1 or 2 other chances as well. I think they still need maybe 1 or 2 more players. That would be, something I think would be important. But I mean, I've been there. I know how he feels right now, and the last thing he wants to do is come onto the radio and talk to people.
Yeah,
but that's just the job, isn't it?
He's going to have to do that. From a Partick Thistle point of view, Willie, a real boost for them, not just with the cup in mind, but I guess with the forthcoming championship season in mind as well. And they play some good stuff, don't they, Thistle?
They like to play football, and they like to take it in tight areas as well. It's not just a case of, whenever they're under pressure that they just want to get rid of the ball. They're quite happy to take risks, and try to play their little passes, and they defended well. Apart from the goal, they defended well. They worked really hard. It was more, 4 across the back, 5 in the midfield, and 1 up top. They worked tirelessly, and they were always in the game. And when they got that second goal, then it was really difficult to see them losing it. Even although United threw a lot at them, there wasn't too many occasions where you felt that they were going to break them down. So I think defensively good, creative in terms of keeping possession. They've got Brian Graham up top as well, and he'll be disappointed that he didn't get that first opportunity. That's one that you would expect him to score with, but he got a cracker. The second chance he had, he started it, he worked it well. It was a cracking goal.
Let's get some reaction then. Early on, Chris Doolan is quick out the traps for us this evening, the Partick Thistle manager, of course, and he is talking to Thomas Duncan.
Chris, a fantastic win for you, especially coming behind. You must be proud of the team.
Yeah, hugely proud of them. There's a young team out there. There's a lot of academy players. But I'm happy to play the academy players. I think you see that they're developing with each game, and if you can't play your young players at this stage of the season, when do you? And Xander McKenzie at 17 years old walks away with man of the match, and just an absolutely fantastic performance. But I'm delighted the way we played with the ball, and without it. I felt as if at times when we were under pressure, we kept our shape well as well.
Yeah, is that the key? Is that because you obviously made a bit of a mistake for the goal, but you recovered so well, you kind of recovered your composure in the end? Yeah,
and we've got good, honest players. With Siri, put his hands up straight away and he understands he's made a mistake. He's settling into football in this country, and I felt as if after that, his reaction, the team's reaction, to get round him to make sure it didn't happen again, was fantastic. And I felt as if we grew after that. We grew into the game. If it wasn't for that mistake, we might not have given away any goals, but we'll learn from that and we'll move on to the next game.
A word for Brian Graham. He just keeps doing it as well, doesn't he? He gave, I think it was Ollie Denham, a bit of a torrid time, the young centre half, and then obviously he missed a bit of a sitter, but then he just kept going and got his goal. He's going to be a big player for you again this season.
Yeah, huge, and it's the sign of a good striker. You miss chances as a striker, but if you dwell on them and you're too busy throwing your arms up in the air, you'll miss another one, possibly two. Brian misses a chance, gets his head down and puts away the next one. And to me, that's what makes a number 9. That's what makes you such a threat in the box, that you can miss chances and dust yourself down so quickly. But Brian's a leader. For me, that's why he's the captain. He's a leader on the pitch. He's also a leader off the pitch. People look up to him. He sets a good example. And for me, he's the all-round captain.
And you've got 5 points from a possible 6, so this sets it up nicely for you in the group. You're in a strong position to qualify now.
Yeah, of course. We knew that would be the case should we come here and get a result. We knew we'd be in a good position. But we'll go on to the next game as we always do. We'll aim to win, and I think the boys are enjoying the way we're playing. we're bedding down ideas, we're taking things forward. There's some younger players learning their trade as well, but I think everybody enjoys the style of play, and that's important for me. I want players to come here and enjoy playing for Partick Thistle.
And just finally, the fact that the results against one of what people might expect to be one of your championship title rivals potentially, is that any psychological significance, or is it too early?
I would say it's too early. I still think nobody wants to get beat. I don't think anybody ever wants to lose any games, and you'll take it sore when you lose games. But for me, it's not an indication of anything. It's just us building our way into the season, and we'll continue to get better. We'll continue to add players to the group as well. But I think you see the style of play is there, the nucleus of the team's there, and then there's some real young, talented players at this club. So for me, it's more about what happens at Partick Thistle than anything else.
Thanks, Chris. Enjoy the win. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's the Partick Thistle manager, Chris Doolan there. Partick Thistle, next up for them in this Cup group stage is Falkirk. Dundee United at the weekend play Peterhead. Of course, Dundee United, well, it's looking pretty slim for them in terms of qualifying for the next stage, the knockout stage of this Cup competition. In Group B, Partick Thistle lead the way on 5 points. Falkirk are in second place in third point. That is 3 points. The Spartans also have 3 points. Then it's Peterhead on 1, and Dundee United right at the foot of the table on 0 points. 2 defeats from 2 for Jim Goodwin's side. We'll hopefully hear from Jim Goodwin later on in the programme. I'll take you through the rest of how the tables look just a little bit later on, but just let's get some reaction to what Chris Doolan was saying there. It talks about how well that players recover after they make early mistakes, and you kind of sense that this evening, didn't you, that the young lad did make a mistake for the goal, but he did recover really well, didn't he, Craig? And well, it did look like at one stage that Partick Thistle were going to go on and score more goals, didn't they?
Yeah, I think the game ebbed and flowed, didn't it? And I think during the times when Partick had superiority, they did take advantage of it, and that for me was the difference. I mean, United had enough of the play and enough chances to do the same to Partick, but Partick were the ones for me who were just a little bit more streetwise, and they had Brian Graham. That's the other thing. He for me is a player who's still improving at the tail end of his career, and I think Partick are, they've got that experience from the tail end of last season, and I think they'll use that to fire themselves up moving forward. It was a huge blow for them, but you can use these things to your advantage.
Yeah.
It's a great result for them, isn't it?
Of course, coming to Dundee United,
coming here and a ground that shouldn't be easy to get points at. And I'm not suggesting it was easy tonight. I think they had to work hard for it. I think Williams did recover. I don't think he recovered quick enough, because if he'd recovered quickly enough, he might have been able to do something about the goal. But generally, he seems to be just I wouldn't call him a modern centre-back. I think he's pretty straightforward. He's maybe an old-fashioned type of centre-back, big, tall, doesn't mess about, doesn't try to be elaborate with his passes, and the only time that he did elaborate in the pass, he gave away the goal. So yeah, he recovered well. I'm surprised that Brian Graham didn't get a shout for the man of the match, and Xander McKenzie got it. I don't know who gave Xander McKenzie the man of the match.
You weren't going to give him it, were you?
I don't think I wasn't on the panel anyway. He's a good young player, but I don't think he's a
That's
fullback.
why you weren't asked to be involved.
Myself, Chris, are you making that up, or am I know nothing about football here? Anyway, maybe there was too much. Too much tipple being had. Whoever made that decision.
I didn't know he was 17 though. Well, did you?
Is he just a kid? Is he?
Yeah, 17 years old. Yeah.
But which playing here in itself is impressive at that age.
Yeah, absolutely indeed. We touched upon Brian Graham and the goals that he has scored. You would imagine that a lot of the teams in the championships, that the squads are going to be much of a muchness, aren't they, in terms of maybe quality and experience and what have you. But when you've got a player like Brian Graham, that's going to be massive for any team, isn't it? It's going to be such a difference.
Yeah, and as I say, I always found it was like, remember playing against Roddy Grant. Remember Roddy? Yeah. Roddy actually could never actually run.
No.
But his intelligence grew and grew and grew the older he got, and he became harder and harder and harder to play against. And this is a compliment to Brian. I put him in that category where, pace has never been their thing, but their intelligence and awareness and understanding of the things that they can do to help the team is second to none. And I think he's getting like that as well. He's getting to that stage where every time I see him, he's really impressive.
Yeah, and an inspired choice as captain as well, Willie. As a former captain yourself, you will see the kind of attributes that he will bring to a side.
Yeah, well, I don't know him personally, but I think the most important thing as a captain is to lead by example on the field of play. So when you watch him, and you watch him play and you see how important it is for him, he's in there, he's fighting his corner, he's giving away, got himself booked, didn't he, with that challenge he had just in front of us as well. When you could see that it wasn't frustration with him, it was more anger that he was getting messed about, but he leads the line well. I would like to see him with a wee bit more company up there, though. I think getting players round about him, and I'm sure Chris Doolan would be doing that, particularly at home, maybe not so much away from home, but he's missed that chance. You could see he was angry missing that first opportunity, but his second goal was brilliant. It was well worked, it was well set up, and it was so calmly finished too. And by the sounds of it, he seems a type that likes responsibility, and he's taken that responsibility on board. And if you've got that type of player in the team, then you're just looking for him to go out in the field of play, do what he's good at doing, being the type that he is in training as well, and just generally it's good for the club if you can get more of them as well, then that's even better.
Yeah, we need more Brian Grahams on the pitch, or certainly Partick Thistle would be hoping that's the case as well. From a Dundee United point of view, where do they have to strengthen, do you think? Do you think they have to try and bring in one or two more?
I do. I do. I mean, the young lad Denham, I think he looks like a good football player. I mean, the Championship is a tough place to play, and and I don't expect him to be able to deal with the physicality of players like Sir Brian Graham immediately, but I would expect and to come back here in a couple of months, if I'm watching him against Partick next time they play him, and for him to learn something. Yeah. That for me will be the purpose of his loan, is to come out and learn. So yeah, he played some good passes and such like, but I thought that he had a tough match here.
Yeah, and of
tonight.
course he was taken off as well. Ross Graham coming on kind of early-ish in the second half. Let's go to Stuart Kettlewell, who is the Motherwell manager. He is, of course, fresh from watching his side pick up that bonus points in their match against Queen of the South. Stuart, congratulations to you. Your team put you through the ringer a little bit though tonight, did they not?
Yeah, they did. I'm just saying that to Cammy beside me here. He's been put through the ringer calling that tonight, obviously with the incidents and the goals, the penalty shootout. I suppose, Jane, it's a really good advert for the cup competition, which I've been through a long period of time. But from a personal point of view, I don't ever think the game should get into the scenario that it does towards the end. Just said to the players there that I didn't think that we played well enough in both penalty areas, both defensively and offensively. I think in the second half the game should have been taken completely away from Queens, even though I thought they were excellent in the game throughout, but I thought we created enough chances to really stretch our lead. And they come back in, they showed great resilience. We obviously end up with 10 men, and the whole thing becomes a little bit frantic inside that last 10 minutes.
Yeah, talk us through the red card. Obviously, Cammy Bell was doing his best to keep us up to date. We haven't seen any pictures of it. What was your take on it?
Yeah, listen, I have seen all the key incidents back again. I've just sat with our analysts there just to have a look at a few things, because several things baffled me in that game tonight, and I'm not going to start this, it's only game 2. But, Ricky Lamy goes to slide to block a challenge, block a cross inside just outside our penalty area. And I've never seen it before. The referee decides to give him a second yellow card. There might be a slight contact, but it's fully intent in blocking a cross, and he obviously sees red. There's major dubiety for me about the award of the Queen's Park the Queen of South penalty, as well. But listen, that's my view. I've seen the incidents back. There was one horrendous tackle on young Lennon Miller in the second half, which went with a yellow card. I've seen that one back, and we keep talking about trying to promote our young talent in this country and all the rest of it. That's the type of challenge that really sets those young careers back. I have to admit, the player's completely out of control. He must be a solid 4 or 5 yards away when Lennon touches the ball and comes off the ground. So listen, there's all my complaints, Jane, but there was so many things going on in the game tonight, and I thought probably some of the decision making could have been a wee bit more logical from what I've just seen in terms of the feedback I've just had there.
You are top of Group G on 5 points, albeit East Fife are breathing down your neck, also on 5 points as well. And it's Queen's Park next on Saturday. What are you thinking about that one?
Yeah, it's going to be good to get back home. The surface is looking really good at Fir Park. It was celebrated last year because of the condition of it, so we're looking forward to getting back there in front of our own supporters. They've been terrific over the last 2 games. Came in great numbers down to Dumfries and also up to Elgin, so it'll be nice for us to get back home. I think the style of play and what Queen's Park will do, we've seen them already in pre-season. They're kind of going down that total football route of really trying to build out, starting from their centre backs inside their penalty box and trying to pick you off through the third. So it brings another challenge. Queen's tried to do that tonight in certain circumstances, so we just have to make sure we're geared up towards it and make sure that we're still freshening up that 11 so that we're not risking any injuries. But it's teed up as another good game in this cup competition, and with the upsets and the drama of tonight, then as I say, I think it's been a real good advert for this competition.
And it's now obviously another chance for you to have a look at the squad that you've assembled there and the players that you started with this evening. What further thoughts do you have on your squad, and in terms of maybe bringing in 1 or 2 new faces? I think you said you'd like to do that when we spoke to you pre-match, but do you feel that after this evening you do need to bring in 1 or 2 more?
Yeah, it's not changed my mind, Jane. I knew exactly where we need to strengthen and what we have to do. But as I say, saying that's not always saying it's always the easy part. We have to actually action it. I think you could see tonight that we were short in the forward areas. We're kind of running with 3 strikers. I would like that to be a minimum of 4. Young Mark Ferry was one of those strikers, 17 years old, making his first start for the football club. I thought he was excellent, but he sort of run his race just after the hour mark. So again, that kind of indicates that we definitely need more forward-thinking options. And as I say, when those chances came about, then maybe we're a little bit fresher, a little bit sharper just to convert them. So no secret in that one, but you go around the country, Jane, and you speak to managers, everyone is going to be saying the same thing. We're looking for that cutting edge in the final third, and certainly we'll continue to search for it.
Stuart, thank you very much indeed for your time this evening. That's the Motherwell manager, Stuart Kettlewell there, who watched his team pick up a bonus point after that 3-3 draw after the 90 minutes against Queen of the South. But Motherwell picking up that bonus point on penalties. Let's just talk you through the rest of the groups, shall we? Ayr United are leading Group A after their win against Stenhouse Muir this evening. So they are top of the tree in Group A. Stirling are just in second place. Ayr on 5 points, I should say. Stirling in second place on 4 points. Stenhouse Muir in third on 3, and Alloa and St Johnstone 4th and 5th respectively. They didn't play this evening. Sorry, Alloa did play this evening. They lost this evening, and they have no points as yet. Group B, well, we've already spoken about it, but it's worth running through again. Partick Thistle are top of Group B on 5 points. Falkirk are in second spots on 3 points, and it's Spartans on 3 as well. Peterhead in 4th, and Dundee United at the foot of Group B, yet to pick up any points in this Viaplay Cup competition. In Group C, Hamilton Accies lead the way on 6 points. In second place, it's Cove Rangers on 3 points. Livingston are in third place on 3 points. Brecon and Clyde have yet to pick up any points after 2 defeats so far. In Group D, Morton lead the way on 6 points, followed by Ross County. They're in second spot. They've only played 1 game though so far, which they won, so they're on 3 points. Edinburgh City, Kelty Hearts and Stranraer yet to pick up any points in Group D. In Group E, Airdrieonians and Dundee, well, they're in first and second place respectively, both on 3 points. So Inverness, Cally Thistle, who lost this evening, are on 3 points as well. So too are Dumbarton. That is a tight old group. Group E, Bonnyrigg Rose yet to get off the mark in terms of any points. They've lost both their opening games in that group. In Group F, it's Dunfermline who lead the way on 5 points, followed by Raith Raith Rovers, who are just a point adrift on 4 points. Kilmarnock on 3, Albion Rovers and Annan yet to pick up any points in Group F. And in Group G, well, we've spoken to the Motherwell manager this evening. They are on top of Group G on 5 points, albeit East Fife also have 5 points. They're in second place. So Queen of the South, Queen's Park, both have 1 point in Group G, and Elgin City yet to pick up any points at all. And in Group H, Forfar lead the way on 6 points. Montrose are in second place on 3 points. Arbroath, St Mirren and Cowdenbeath have yet to pick up any points. Arbroath yet to play any games. Of course, they play tomorrow evening, I think I'm right in saying. And that is how all the groups look at the minute. Let's hear from the Dundee United manager, shall we? Jim Goodwin has been speaking to Thomas.
Jim, it's another defeat, but I guess you'll see a lot of positives and improvement from Saturday than that performance tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously right now it's a real, sense of disappointment and frustration that we've lost the game. I think the most frustrating thing from my point of view is the manner of the goals that we conceded. You know, we started the game quite bright, I felt, and for the opening 15-20 minutes I thought we were the better team. I think in the middle part of the first half, prior to Partick scoring, it became a little bit scrappy. Partick started to go that little bit more direct up to Graham, and I don't think we handled that aspect well enough. You know, I think we need to be a bit more aggressive. We allowed Graham to dictate to us as opposed to the other way around. I thought we managed them a bit better in the second 45, but the first goal, the Partick score, comes from that. You know, the line is way too deep. We have to be brave enough to stay that little bit higher and not allow Graham to pin us in that situation. And then thereafter he wanders into our penalty area unopposed and strokes the ball home from 12 yards out. So there's lessons to be learned certainly with that one. The second one, you know, is every manager's frustration when you defend the first phase of a corner so well. Then to get done with the second phase through a lapse in concentration is very hard to take. So I don't think anybody could go away from the game and say that we didn't play well in parts of it. I thought there was some good energy. I thought we got into some very good areas in both halves, I have to say. I thought we got a lot of joy down the left-hand side, particularly with Kai Fotheringham and Scott McMahon. And you know, we just need to make better decision making at times when we get into those areas. You know, we got behind the back line regularly, but just couldn't find that final pass. So disappointment, I suppose, is the overriding feeling at the moment.
Yeah, because I suppose that leaves your, 6 points is all you can get now, and that looks like that. That's not probably going to be good enough to get out of the group, which I suppose to not be progressing so early in the season is a blow.
It is a bitter blow, yeah, because we had every ambition of trying to win the group and get out and get ourselves into that last 16. And it's a competition that I've always enjoyed and always took seriously. But unfortunately, we shot ourselves in the foot on Saturday, conceding a really poor goal, and that's the thing that we need to do better. The 3 goals that we conceded in these last 2 games have been ones that we should have defended better. If the team scores, if the opposition scored a really well worked goal, then sometimes you can hold your hands up and say well done to them. But I think there's elements in every goal that we've conceded up to now that we should be able to manage those situations better. So look, it's early days for us, still very new group, 6 new faces came in, obviously Louis Moult late today. We're still trying to gel those players in, as well as try and get the younger players integrated into the senior team. And I think there was certainly some good performances I felt from some of the younger boys in the team. I thought Fotheringham was excellent. I thought Archie Mickelson, when he came on the second 45, was brave and taking the ball and trying to make things happen. And Louis Moult is obviously miles behind in terms of fitness, but I think you saw what he's going to bring to the team once we get him up to speed. So we need to be more ruthless in both boxes. I think that's the key taking from the last 2 games. But we've got an opportunity again on Saturday to make amends against Peterhead, and hopefully go and score some goals and give the fans something to cheer about.
Yeah, because you mentioned the fans, there was a lot of frustration at the end there again, and it is extremely early in the season, but given that last season probably still hurts a lot for a lot of people around here, how quickly do you need to just inject some positivity with a win, basically? Yeah,
of course. I mean, look, we're desperate to make them happy, and all the work that we're doing behind the scenes obviously is not seen by everybody, but the players are working extremely hard, but it counts for nothing if we don't do it on the match day when it counts the most. And but I do hope that the fans have went away seeing a team that's trying to play and trying to get the ball down and trying to play with energy and speed. We will get better in the final third. We will get a better understanding of each other. As I said, there's a lot of new players there playing together for the first time, some of them tonight. So there's plenty there for us to work on. And look, as I said, we take this competition very seriously, albeit it's very early in the season. But our main focus and main objective this year is in the league campaign, and the mistakes that we're making now, we need to learn from and make sure that those mistakes don't cost us points in the league when that comes round.
Thanks, Jim. Commiserations.
Okay, thank you.
That's Dundee United manager Jim Goodwin there. I think you can hear the disappointment in his voice there. Can't you? Obviously, they were desperate to try and get through to the next stage of this League Cup competition. He talked about, obviously, lessons to be learned, and I think defensively he's more talking about there, Willie. How do they improve upon that performance? Is it just basically hard work on the training pitch and obviously giving the players more time to gel?
We all wish we could get time as managers. It doesn't usually come that way, though. It's not the kind of a situation where a manager comes into a club and he's not getting results, and he starts the season towards the end of the season, gets relegated, and then comes in at the beginning of the season and doesn't start it. Well, it's 2 defeats, and it really does pile the pressure on him. I think that there was aspects of the game tonight, absolutely, that would give him hope, and confidence that he can turn it round. As Craig says, I still think they need players. They need players to come in, and perhaps more experienced players. But it's a dreadful start for them, and if that's them out of the League Cup competition, then it doesn't get much worse. So yeah, the most important thing for him is the Championship and getting themselves promoted back into the Premiership. But at the same time, you've got to recognise that there are defensive frailties there. They were there to be seen against Spartan. They were there tonight again. Young Denham, might be a good player, could be a good player in the future, but at this moment in time, he's a bit of a liability, and I think that you maybe have to take him out, and rest him, and allow him, a little bit more time, or perhaps the games that you've got now that are meaningless. Maybe that's the time that you actually do play them, because it doesn't mean anything. You just allow him to get out there and get a bit of experience and get a bit of understanding.
He lacks physicality. That's going to take time.
Yeah.
Well, he's not going to fix that in a month. If Jim's sitting on the radio 4 weeks from now saying the same things, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
So the defensive stuff, it needs to improve, and he's recognised that, but it has to improve. It can't be the same 4 weeks from now when the league started. And quite often these situations, the league goes down to 1 or 2 or 3 points come the end. Mm-hmm. And if you lose 2 games in the first part of the season in the league, you might never recover it. It's like, that's how close it can be. So, he needs to get it fixed as quickly as possible and feel that he's got a solid back line, whether it's a 3 or a 5 or a 4 or whatever he decides. It needs to get fixed as quickly as possible. Yeah,
because the momentum is so important, isn't it, Willie? We know how much positive results can have a positive effect on how teams are playing. But if your head is down, it's very hard then to be positive and then to get that momentum, isn't it? How do you go about rectifying that situation?
The only way you get momentum is by winning games of football, isn't it? And it really is irrelevant, how you get these wins. Yes, you want to play a certain style of football, and Jim's obviously got that in his mind, how he wants the team to play. But the most important thing is when Jim left Aberdeen, Barry Robson comes in and he plays a different style altogether. It's not on the front foot. It's not sparkling football. It was about making sure that they defended properly. It was 5 at the back, and maybe Jim's got to think about that. Maybe he's got to just bin the 2 centre backs being isolated and the 2 full backs being up the park at times, and making it difficult for the opposition just to get the momentum going. And then once you get there, once you get that momentum, that's when you maybe have the leeway to be able to change it and play the style of football that you want to play.
It's very difficult, Jane, to force a team who are not confident into total football. That you're asking for trouble, and I felt to a degree both teams suffered a little bit from that tonight when they gave the ball away in situations that were simple to find a pass that was achievable, you know. So, but I think the character of the Partick Thistle side did a wee bit more about them tonight than Dundee United did, and I think that he could maybe do with a couple of more senior players just to help the younger players round about him.
Yeah, certainly plenty for Jim Goodwin and Dundee United to ponder. There's a couple of League Cup ties tomorrow taking place. FC Edinburgh take on Kelty Hearts, and Arbroath get their campaign up and running. They are at home to Arbroath. There was one friendly match this evening, one glamour friendly in Glasgow in Govan at Ibrox as Rangers faced Newcastle United. It was an Alan McGregor's testimonial. Let's find out what the Rangers manager Michael Beale made of it all.
Michael, what a send-off for Alan McGregor. Can you just sum up what he means to this club and what he's done for this club?
Yeah, he's a modern day legend for the club in terms of when I've known him since 2018, when he rejoined was the time that I came to the club. And he's been fantastic, you know, a highlight reel for the ages, if you like. And it was lovely for him to get that send-off. And I want to say thank you to Eddie and his team for coming and playing, and all the fans that travelled up from the North East as well, from Newcastle for the game. It was a perfect pre-season game for us as well. I thought it was a real high-level game. We've gone from playing a third division team from Germany to playing here in front of a packed house against Newcastle, and it was a really good challenge. At times we struggled, at other times we did well. There was chances at both ends, and that's given us a lot of feedback in terms of our pre-season, so I'm delighted with it.
And is that Alan retired now?
Oh, that only those words can come from Alan. He didn't have too much to do tonight, to be fair. He got beat with the first shot that went, but it was no fault of his own. It was a great finish from Almiron, but he looked comfortable after one day's training, after a good summer, I would say. But no, it's just lovely to give him that send-off for everything he's done for the club. This is a club where if you do well for it, you see, you know, at the end of the season with the way they sent the players off that left, like Scott Arfield, that if you do well for this club, it stays long in the memory. And I thought there was some special moments there for Alan to take away with him and his family, and he deserves it.
You told us it would be a big summer. You signed 7, I think, so far. Some of them played today, likes of Lammers and Seema up front. How's it been? How happy are you? How many more are to come? Where are you in your transition?
I've been delighted with the work that everybody's done. Myself, James Bisgrove, John Park and the team around it. I've been really delighted with how fast that we've worked and identified the players. I thought it was nice for Sam to score tonight and Abdullah. At the weekend we'll welcome back Kamaru, Cyril Dessers and Tom Lawrence to the squad. So we're looking a little bit top heavy. We're still looking at 1 or 2 players. Certainly a midfielder, maybe one more defender coming in as well. Connor Goldson's not a million miles away from coming back. What I would say is I've been super impressed with young Bailey Rice, just 16. He's had a really strong pre-season, and Johnny Afeko has also had a good pre-season, who we see tonight coming back from an injury where he wasn't available for the last 4 months of last season. So pre-season's about everyone starting with a clean slate and showing what they've got, and the competition in the squad is strong. I'm sticking to my words that I want to bring the squad down to 23 or 24 outfield players. I don't want a big squad, so the next 2 or 3 weeks will be important to that. The boys have got to fight for their position in the squad.
That's the thoughts there of Rangers manager Michael Beale. Let's quickly get some thoughts from Eddie Howe, who's the manager of Newcastle United.
Eddie, just a wee one on now playing Rangers. They're trying to get to the Champions League. You're already there. What was the level? What do you make of all this?
Yeah, it was a good game. You know, we anticipated a really tough game, especially with the crowd and the environment here. Thought we dealt with that well. I thought they played well too. So that was a really good test for us, just what we needed as we step up our preparations.
In terms of atmosphere and standard, what did you make of it all?
I thought the standard was good. I thought both teams were competitive in that first half. There's a lot of changes in the second half. They're always difficult to judge when both teams have made wholesale changes. But certainly the stadium and the atmosphere is well renowned, and it was a great thing to be part of today.
In a different universe, you could have been managing over the other side of the city. Things have worked out pretty well for you. Having said that, when you look back at those times, how do you reflect on it all?
Yeah, it's always very difficult when you've got to make decisions. It was almost taken out of my hands to a degree. So I'm very proud to be standing here as Newcastle manager.
Didn't really answer the question there, did he? That is it from Sports Sound for us this evening. My thanks to Craig Levine and Willie Miller for their insight this evening here from Tannadice. Sports Sound is back on Saturday from 2 o'clock. More League Cup action for you. Before that, it's Off the Ball from midday. Remember, for all your football news, bbc.co.uk/Sport Scotland. But from us all here, very good night.
The Scottish League Cup.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Where Scottish football lives.